Welcome into Sports Time on a Tuesday. Bryant and Brett with you for the next 3 hours, and we have a ton to get to in that time. We had 2 Monday Night Football games last night, kind of different than what we're used to, but we'll get that the next couple of weeks as the NFL is going to try to go with the 2-game format. Then after that, it was announced yesterday afternoon into the evening that because of the writer's strike that we've talked about a little bit on this show, I know it's been talked about on other shows, but because of that writer's strike, they're going to now air every single Monday Night Football game on ABC through the rest of the year. So a lot of interesting things for Monday Night Football, but we did get 2 games last night. But Brett, we're sitting in our Family Leisure studios. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well, and I don't want to be ugly to anybody's vocation, but we can live without the writers, can't we?
I mean, for us at least, we can. There might be other people that can't.
No,
but
I could not live with a baseball strike. I could not live with a NFL strike. I thought I was going to die from COVID, having never had it, trying to do radio during COVID, but I can live without the shows. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that I know, friends of mine, even some of my family that, watch shows that are now being delayed. But, for me, as long as the sports continues to go, I seem to be fine. And so I really haven't noticed much of the writer's strike. And now with the NFL doing Monday Night Football on ABC, now that's just another station to tune into. What did you think about the 2-game format last night, kind of staggered there by an hour?
I almost wish, though, they'd just go ahead and go full Monty and go 6 o'clock and 9:15.
Yeah, no, that's what I originally
and we take
hoped
football
for.
into Tuesday.
Yeah, that would be great. But I'm okay with it. The only kind of gripe I had is me and my dad were watching last night. We were kind of bouncing back and forth between the games.
Too much back button for me.
It was a lot of back button, but then also I think it was just the ABC game. I didn't notice it on the ESPN game that was carrying Saints and Panthers, but on the ABC game, it seemed like every 5 to 10 minutes, they would do kind of the double screen where they would have, both of them very small, but the ABC game a little bit bigger. And in my head,
that's what the back button's for.
Exactly. In my head, I was going, this is cool and all, but they're doing it way too much. If I want to go watch that other game, I can just flip back to the other game. I don't need them both on my screen. I guess for some people, they probably like that. I just wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, it was the whole thing about being indebted to like 2 bosses. You just I couldn't do it. I wanted to stay at one place and then go back to the other one for a little while. I don't want them kind of both up there at the same time. But we're only going to get more of this.
Oh yeah, and I think these networks are real, especially ESPN and ABC are realizing, especially with the NFL and with a lot of other sports, that you're going to get viewers. You're going to get a ton of viewers. And so I think the idea of having 2 on the night, and with ABC and ESPN, those are both, those ESPN Disney stations. And so I think for them, they're just thinking, wow, I mean, why did we not think about this before? I think it's a great idea. Like you said, I wish we would just have the doubleheader style format.
Yeah, just go East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, but, I don't mind it. I think the more football, the better. I mean, I was not going to oppose 2 games last night, especially with how it seemed like that first game was a very quick game. That second one was a long one. I mean, that game.
And the Chubb injury.
Oh yeah, that one
really
definitely added a lot to it. A lot of turnovers, a lot of reviews. I mean, there was a lot going on in that game. But I think the different paces, you could see a lot of that first game and still see a ton of that second game. I mean, you were in the fourth quarter down the stretch when that second game was at halftime. So I think the staggered, it worked because you were able to see a ton of both games. But I'm kind of with you. I wish we got the doubleheader.
Now, was it an option last night for the Manning boys?
No,
they weren't out there.
They weren't on. I don't know if they're going to be back next week or the week after, but that was the interesting thing. I guess because there was no Manning cast, they had the New Orleans and Carolina game on both ESPN and ESPN2, and then the ABC game, that later game between the Steelers and the Browns, was on ABC and ESPN Plus. So you had multiple ways to watch both of those games. But yeah, because I kept switching back to ESPN2, and I would switch it to ESPN2, and I'd go, oh man, it's on ESPN. Why am I switching it to ESPN2? And the game was still on ESPN2. So they're giving you a ton of ways to watch these games. But, I did really enjoy the 2-game format last night.
Speaking of more football, how about less football? come springtime, the merger.
Oh, man. Well, I think tomato, how are you looking at it? Because
More quality.
obviously more quality. I also think that you can make an argument that you could get more football. I mean, with the merger of these leagues, more teams, maybe
More inventory,
and maybe these two groups come together and say, well, with these more teams, maybe we could have a little bit longer of a season, because the problem last year is 8 teams in the USFL, around 8 teams in the XFL,
Yeah.
and so
XFL jumped out there early and it was finished.
And it was finished before the USFL even started.
Right.
I think there was like 2 weeks where there was overlap. But I think when you only have 8 teams in your league, I mean, you can only play everybody so much. And so, I think both teams kind of went on that format of everybody plays everybody twice. And so now if this merger happens, which it looks like it should happen by the end of the week.
What town? We know one team in Houston.
But Houston's certainly getting an axe. I don't know.
Well, they keep a team, but one team goes.
Yes, but one team goes.
What was the nickname of the XFL team?
The Houston Rough Riders?
They have to keep Gamblers. One of the great
I
nicknames
would hope so.
and logos ever.
But I almost think, I mean, with the cachet that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has, that, XFL, they already have that deal with ESPN. I'm almost worried that the XFL is going to kind of run all the moves, run all the shots in this first year.
You think it got forgotten in the time away?
The XFL? Mm-hmm. Maybe.
No, the USFL.
Oh, the USFL. I think so. I mean, I just think with everything, it seems like, and maybe I'm just not as tuned into Fox as I am with ESPN, but it seemed like you would see those games on ESPN. They were making docu-series around it. A lot of the time in the spring, like NFL Live and some of these NFL football-generated shows, they were focusing a lot of time on the XFL and kind of giving it that platform. Where on the other hand, while the USFL had Fox and they had NBC as well, didn't they? Maybe a couple games on NBC. They had those two massive networks. It just seemed like you would get a game and then nothing else around the league. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but
whether in reality or not, it's going to be painted a winner and loser.
Well, I mean, same thing with Live and PGA on that merger. Sure. I mean, you can ask everybody, the top brass in PGA, and they say, oh, we definitely came out on top. But the public's all saying, oh, Live won that deal. So I think it's going to be the same way. You're going to have a winner, you're going to have a loser. It seems to me, at least, looking at all of these headlines, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is pictured on all of these stories.
He's not going to be cast the loser.
Absolutely not. The Rock being a loser of anything? No chance.
He knew all the time when he went in the ring that he was going to win.
Exactly.
Because it's a show.
He's a winner, Brett.
That's
right.
He
is, and he had a massive weekend last week being on game day and everything.
I hope we're not affected here with the Memphis Showboats.
I hope not either.
I look forward to next year.
Mm-hmm.
We just visited recently with Steve Macy, and we may have to catch up with Steve again with this news if he can talk about it. I want it to work. I went to 3 games last year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Would suggest for entertainment dollars out there, if you needed to spend money or wanted to spend money and you had it and you wanted some springtime football, it was worth going to. But I think a merger is smart because there's just so much. There's so many quarterbacks on planet Earth. There's so many blindside tackles on planet Earth. The offensive line play in the USFL was abominable. Atrocious. Which that makes offensive football bad because it affects everything. The line play was so bad, the quarterback had 0 time. Mm-hmm. That makes the receivers bad. The running backs had nowhere to run.
Yeah,
I had never seen offensive line play as bad as going to the USFL last year.
No, it was really bad, which made the quarterback play pretty bad for most of these teams.
All goes downhill, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, and I think another thing that would really be beneficial in this merger for these teams in the USFL after the merger is because of the way you talked about it. The XFL started very early last year. Too early, I think. But
February, let us have our football brain a little break.
But because of how early it started and because the XFL was it had a lot of cachet and a lot of excitement around it when they announced the return of the XFL. A lot of these players, kind of that upper echelons players that just maybe aren't good enough to be in the NFL, but really good to they need to play pro football somewhere. They were all hop into the XFL. I mean, you go around and look at the quarterbacks of the XFL and compare them to the quarterbacks in the USFL. You could probably do that on the entire roster from position to position. And I think the XFL would probably have a slight edge in most of those just because of how early they started. They were that first league.
Arguably just A.J. McCarron.
Yeah, A.J. McCarron's a great one, and they had a lot that I can't, aren't coming to my mind just yet, but I remember seeing a lot of when the USFL started, watching those USFL games after watching the XFL and going, man, the XFL just had better players, it seemed like, at a lot of these positions.
And
so
if you're starting Cole Kelly, quarterback play is bad.
Well, Cole Kelly, he was a winner, Brett. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They turned to him and went, 6 games in a row? I mean, he's a winner.
It's a sign of desperation when you turn to Cole Kelly.
Yes, maybe a little bit. But, no, I'm really excited about it. Like you said, I think the Showboats are in a good spot. We've talked a lot about that plan that Fox has of bringing them back for another year, kind of the excitement that they seem to have around the city of Memphis and bringing the Showboats back. And
bring back the old uniforms.
I agree. But it also seems like while Memphis didn't get an XFL team, we know
Thank goodness.
We know obviously Memphis has had an XFL team in the original XFL, and we know Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he holds Memphis in a very close spot
Son of
to his
Rocky
heart.
Johnson.
That's right. So I would think
former wrestler.
That's right. Winners, paid winners almost.
Determined that afternoon in rehearsal.
That's right. But you would think there's a lot of positive mojo for Memphis with the USFL side and the XFL side, that Memphis should be, if they're going to axe any places, any of these teams, you would think Memphis is in a good spot right now.
We sure hope so. We are in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun all come together. The world's biggest spa sale right now. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from. 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in stock spas and swim spas, free upgrades on all in-stock spas, 24 months, same as cash available. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Go tell Billy we said hello and how much we appreciate him at Family Leisure.
Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, also the host of Wolo and Friends, will join us to talk about the Tigers. We'll get his reaction to their win last Thursday night against Navy. It feels like a long time since the Tigers played. It feels like it's been years since the Tigers last played because of that Thursday night game. But we'll talk about that, but then we'll also have to get into this weekend's game against Missouri, with Missouri coming off that big win against Kansas State.
And real Brady Cook questions.
Yeah, real. I mean, Pete Thamel posting that he's day-to-day. So some real questions about that, a lot to get to in the next segment with Dave Woloshin. At 3:45, we'll get into the NFL as we now have completed Week 2 in the NFL after those 2 games last night on Monday Night Football. We'll get some quick reactions of the weekend in the NFL.
My Super Bowl champ is 0-2.
Remind me who your Super Bowl. The Chargers. Yeah, things. I'm excited to ask Bo about the Chargers, but you weren't here when we picked the AFC, and Bo was what's the word?
Dubious.
He was shocked, I would say.
Stunned.
Shocked might be an understatement of what he was when he heard the Chargers.
I think he was really saddened.
I think so. So we'll get to some quick thoughts on the NFL at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard will join us from First Coast News in Jacksonville. We'll talk a lot of college football with Brent. 4:30, we'll get to our segment. We started it last week, but what are we certain about after another week in college football and the NFL? We'll get to what we are absolutely certain about in both college football and NFL. We'll get to that at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Beau Marchant will join us to talk the NFL after the second week of action. At 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
I tell you what Beau was, and it's been every friend of mine in my life since I quit drinking. Okay. And coming up in October will be 30 years.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it.
You should be.
And all my friends on almost anything, even sometimes serious, but and all the time joking, like if I send a nasty text or anything, good or bad. Well, Brett, you're not drinking again, are you? and I wish they knew how much I laugh at that, knowing there's no way I'm doing that.
That's great.
And that day, Bo sent to me after y'all did those picks, and I was away that day. Went Chargers ? ? You okay, man?
That's about the reaction he gave on air too.
It kind of anything.
Yeah.
Non-conformist that I've done in that 30 years, people ask that, and I understand funny. Most are kidding, some are not, and I take all of it in one ear and out the other. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and the 24 starting to arrive. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and on those 24s, and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is Monday Night Football last night. We talked about it to open the show, but two games last night. We started off with the Saints and the Panthers. Brett, you got there with a cover for the Panthers.
Late
it was
in the game, the 2-point conversion.
Oh, it was terrifying. Jonathan Mingo, the former Ole Miss Rebel, hauling in a big reception
if
to
Jonathan
keep that drive
Mingo,
long.
And this is big for receivers.
Yeah.
If he can get consistent hands, he's there for a while. That body, those routes.
Oh, yeah.
But he
Great route
does have
runner.
to get consistent catching the football.
Yeah, had a couple of drops last night in that game. So, but an interesting game. I mean, I think because of that O-line.
That's some sterling analysis. A wide receiver
needs
hands.
That's right. But it was when I watch this Panthers offense, a lot of new weapons, a lot of new guys, obviously a new quarterback. A ton of new receivers, and I think it's going to be an up and down season for this team. I mean, there are some plays that this offense makes.
Ooh, they look very young.
They do, and there are some plays where you see these sparks and go, "Wow, this offense can be good." But then there's a lot of other plays where it's woo.
I heard booing.
Yeah, there was booing last night. So it's going to be a really rocky, up and down roller coaster season for the Panthers. But the Saints win again, and I was reading somewhere, maybe it was CBS Sports earlier today, are the Saints the most underwhelming 2-0 team in the National Football League?
Yes, because it's defensive driven, and we're
very
not used to
defensive
defense.
Yes, but their defense is
unbelievable. We
unbelievable.
appreciate defense anymore.
No, I don't think we do either, because what I saw last night after both of those games.
No highlight show rolls with defense.
No, and what I heard on Twitter, on CBS Sports, on The Athletic, a lot of these people saying, man, we really got two stinkers on Monday Night Football last night. But I would argue we got two really, really fun games, because I would argue three of those teams have really high-end defenses. When you look at the Saints defense, when you look at the Browns defense, when you look at that Steelers defense, those are three of the best defenses in the league, I would argue, and they were all on full display last night. That second game, Steelers versus Browns, you talked about the Nick Chubb injury. It was so bad they wouldn't show it. They wouldn't show the replay on ABC. I had to see the close-up replay on Twitter, because it was all over Twitter, just because they wouldn't show it on TV. But it was a fun game. The defenses led the way for both teams. Pittsburgh defense was all over the place. 6 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. Cleveland turned the ball over 4 times. And I talk about these offenses. It was kind of defense-led game. On the other side, Cleveland's defense was massive because Pittsburgh only recorded 255 yards of total offense. Neither quarterback looked like they were in sync with any of their receivers. It was a very ugly game offensively, but both those defenses came to play. And when I say a game like that, both defenses came to play, very defensive driven, you would think it would have been an under game. But it was not, because Pittsburgh defense scored twice.
Interception return on first offensive play.
Yeah, I mean, so these defenses came, that final score, 26-22. I thought two really, really fun games. Maybe I just love watching football, and a lot of other people think they were ugly games, but I really enjoyed Monday night.
I enjoyed them too, and this note, I want to give the person credit on the X machine.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Carney.
Okay.
Who is Josh Carney?
I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, very impressive resume. I'm sorry for saying that. Josh Carney, Ohio, Pennsylvania sports editor for USA Today and Gannett.
Yeah.
Went to Syracuse. Impressive.
Bright guy then.
The prestigious Newhouse School of Journalism there. So very impressive cred. His tweet, wild but true. The Steelers entered the fourth quarter Monday night trailing by 3 points. They generated just minus 7 yards of offense in the final 15 minutes.
That's incredible.
And won the game by 4 points.
That's incredible. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Go get it however you have to get
right.
it. It's the basketball cheer kind of gets you, or the basketball mantra is get your offense off of your defense. My top story, 2 weeks in and 9 undefeated NFL teams, 3 in the NFC East, 3 in the NFC South. Washington and Tampa Bay undefeated. It's a little surprising. Atlanta may be surprising to some. They're all 2-0. 9 winless teams. That includes Bill Belichick and his Patriots at 0-2. Cincinnati and Los Angeles 0-2. Might not have been many other than me picking the Chargers in the Super Bowl, but a lot of people had Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. My winning Super Bowl team, the Chargers, not off to a good start. My NFL picks, they're lacking. Tennessee in the college football playoff, lacking.
Yikes.
Saints a surprising 2-0. Vikings a surprising 0-2. Both of those games last night, a defensive slog.
Not top story of the day.
You're right about that defensive slog, but my not top story of the day, we talked a lot about it yesterday. Travis Hunter out for 3 weeks with a lacerated liver, and there's been a lot of talk about Colorado State defensive back Henry Blackburn, but I do want to talk
a Boulder native.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I do want to bring it up, though, because Travis Hunter, in addition to playing football, he's very active on social media. He has a YouTube channel that he does a lot of vlogs and stuff on, and he gets on Twitch very regularly. I think that's how I think he gets paid by those things, a way to make money in the day and age of NIL. It's awesome. But he went on Twitch last night and talked about the injury, and he said, that he didn't know he was injured when it happened. It hurt a little bit, but he didn't know it was as bad as it actually was, and that if it wasn't for the great doctors and trainers on Colorado's staff, that he would have continued to play. It had to have been them grabbing him and saying, look, we really need to take a second look at you. We need to take you to the hospital because this could be really bad. And then he also defended Henry Blackburn, who's been getting death threats. Him and his mother have been getting death threats. And he said, it's football, man. Like, stuff like this happens. Like, he did not mean to lacerate my kidney or send me to the hospital. It's a rivalry game. Things get hot sometimes. People make plays. Do I think he meant to hit me late? Probably not. I mean, it's in the moment, speed of the game.
Bang, bang,
and
play.
Yeah, and it happens. And so I thought that was really big of him because, I mean, he could have easily gone the exact opposite way. I mean, he's out for 3 weeks.
On a raging fire.
Exactly. And same thing for Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders spoke today to the media and basically said the same thing. He said it was a football play. You can look at it from both perspectives, and he kind of saw it as just kind of one of those bang-bang football plays. He said he's very sad to hear that player is getting death threats, and he said that he would be very saddened if it was any of his fans, any Colorado students or any Colorado fans. He prays that it's not them, and he prays for that defensive back for Colorado State that he can get through this, that it's very challenging, and that he's just trying to play football like everybody else, and that one play should not dictate the rest of his life or get him death threats. So I thought it was very big from both Travis Hunter and Deion Sanders to try to put some water on that fire.
Well said. My not top story. We haven't forgotten the baseball races. It's fun in both leagues. Wish I was all torn up over all the drama in the baseball races right now, with my Cardinals being right in the middle of it, but they're not. But I'm still watching closely. We're still following it. 4 teams are in the playoffs in the National League. There are 5 battling for 2 spots. Arizona and the Cubs with 72 losses. When I say the all-important loss column, and it's all I ever refer to, when I hear somebody talking about being a half game up or a half game back, there's no such thing. If it matters, they're all going to play 162.
Right.
The only thing that matters is the loss column. You can make up wins. You cannot make up losses. When you hear somebody talking about being 2.5 games up, I almost want to turn that person off when they're talking about baseball. The loss column is everything from game 1 through 162. So they're all at 72 losses. Cincinnati and Miami at 73, San Francisco at 74. AL, 3 teams in: Baltimore, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, some shape, form, or fashion. 4 battling for 3 spots. AL West, it's up for grabs. It's for keeps. Houston, Seattle, Texas, all with 67 or 68 losses. Toronto with 67 losses. And very few head-to-head matchups among these teams remaining. There's a couple, but not a lot with how the newly drawn-up schedule. And tonight, nothing says September pivotal, key, nerve-wracking baseball, like the Reds and the Twins.
Heck yeah.
Reds and the Twins?
That sounds like October baseball to me, Brett.
Okay. Sounds like March baseball
sure
to me
does.
down in spring training.
Sure does. I'll tell you this. Last night, me and my dad were, like I said, we were sitting out back and flipping around on the television, and I was kind of keeping up with the Cardinals game on Twitter, hearing, okay, we're getting to the 8th, 9th inning, and Waino's getting ready for 200.
I got over it.
And so I was like, all right, we at least got to go watch the 9th inning.
I violated my no more watching.
And so we flipped it over, and my dad goes, when the Cardinals are bad, it really does show how long the baseball season is. He goes, because we were locked in at the beginning of the season. He goes, it feels like forever since the last time I watched the Cardinals game, because he's not going to watch it. He's kind of like you. I mean, if they're bad, he's not watching.
Well, it's the beauty of it, but it's also the misery of it when you've been out of it since April 20th.
Oh, yeah, and that's what he said. I mean, it's been June or July since I've watched the game, and here we are. They're still playing. I was like,
Last night was the first night I peeked in since August 18th.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. But that shows just how bad they've been this year. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk Tiger football with Dave Woloshin.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you've tried to buy a Rolex watch lately, you know how difficult it is. New models are in rare supply. Some jewelers put you on wait lists. Others make you buy their other jewelry at inflated prices just to be considered for a Rolex purchase. Well, that's all changed now that Genesis Diamonds has arrived. Genesis Diamonds is the premier dealer of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. People who come in are shocked to see Daytonas, Hulks, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejusts, all the hard-to-find Rolex watches ready to wear today. At Genesis, we've used our worldwide connections to find only the first luxury pre-owned Rolexes, immaculate, pristine watches, fairly priced with no strings attached, and with flexible financing options. So enough with the wait list and the retail jeweler games. Get the Rolex of your dreams today at Genesis Diamonds. And if you already have a Rolex and are interested in trading up, we also have Rolex buyers on site every day. Just another example of how we're forever changing the jewelry landscape here. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
WeatherGuard, the name that stands for unmatched security in truck boxes, is now making a name for itself on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series circuit. WeatherGuard is the official sponsor of the safety and security work crews at Speedway Motorsports tracks across the country. Engineered to meet the demands from job sites to race sites, WeatherGuard truck boxes feature double welded seams, weather-tight seals, and high security latches and locks. If it's a job worth doing, it's a job worth WeatherGuard. Learn more at weatherguard.com/truck.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
It's time to go where the season takes you, and it's the season for savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Go for miles more with 43 MPG Highway in your 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,815 or $229 a month. 2024 Eclipse Cross eludes sleek and sporty style at $29,695 or $399 a month. Discover the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with third row and 7-passenger seating. Now $29,885 or $449 a month. And they're all equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We're ready to put you in a new ride today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Only
24 months. Mirage RH 00782 MSRP 18315. Eclipse RZ 001693 MSRP 30445. Outlander RZ 005762 MSRP 31385. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax title and licensee. Dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Let's welcome longtime voice of the Tigers and host of Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings at 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Dave Woloshin to talk Tigers football and basketball with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Dave Woloshin joining us now to talk about the Tigers, and a lot to get to after a game last Thursday and a big game coming up this weekend in St. Louis. But Dave, thanks so much for joining us. And let's start with that game last Thursday on ESPN against Navy. I think it was a little closer than a lot of people expected going into the night. But what were your thoughts of the Tigers picking up their first conference win over Navy?
Well, I think it was closer than it should have been. They tried like the Dickens to keep Navy in the game. They had mental errors. They had physical errors. But here's my takeaway. A year ago, they would have lost that game. They lost 4 games within one score because they just couldn't finish. Thus, the mantra, finish the job this year. Mm-hmm. And they figured out a way to win. And they were the better team. I think Navy is a better team than they were a year ago. These things are hard to figure early in the season because I have no idea. I think Notre Dame is really pretty darn good, especially the way they handled Navy. But Navy got the first shutout they've had since 2008. I know it was Wagner, but still, they played the Wagners of the world for all these years. They didn't get another shutout since 2008. A new coach, new offensive scheme. I think they're better. Memphis was able to pull it out, and I'm not sure they would have last year. So I walk away with a lot of good feeling, and it sets up a battle of 2 unbeatens. And if Memphis were to win this game, then they're on notice. Then people are going to really start to say, hey, this team has a shot. A guy from ESPN actually has Memphis playing Alabama in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, Kyle Bonagura.
It's part of their projected playoffs and bowl projections.
Yeah, Kyle Bonagura every week with Mark Schlabach, they release that, and the bowl projections are now behind a paywall at ESPN.com. Wow, week 2 bowl projections behind a paywall, but they are, and that's their business. But they do have that. And Dave, I'm with you on everything last Thursday night, and I said this on Friday about the game. Every single week in college football is a pass-fail test. The Tigers passed. You know how I know that? They had more points than the other team. And the problems out of that game, I think, are all fixable. Do you?
I think so. First off, it really is a tough thing. People don't understand how hard it is to go from playing a base defense that you have been absolutely focused on, zoomed in on ever since spring, then to fall, and all the little things that you try to, really refine. They're all set a certain way. Then here comes Navy with a triple option, and now a weirder triple option because they're throwing in passing, and you have to throw all that out, rely on position responsibility, get that right, and that's hard. You're going to get fooled a couple of times, and now you got to go back to your regular base defense. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really hard. It's something you hope to survive, and that's exactly what Memphis did. I think they've got to get their run offense a little bit more settled. They have to tackle better than they did in the Navy game.
That's fixable, isn't it, with more repetitions in season? That's
real fixable, Brett, because it was a short week. They did not practice tackling at all because they were worried about injury and dead legs on a short week. So they did not practice real live tackling. Normally they'll do that once or twice a week. They didn't do it. I think Ryan Silverfield felt that was a mistake in retrospect. They did play much better in the second half with tackling, but the first half was the most atrocious tackling I'd seen in years. So I think that's real fixable.
You know, Dave, real quick, all back to the wishbone and the passing out of it. The old wishbone guys, Emory Ballard, the author of the wishbone, Coach Darrell Royal, Barry Switzer, Coach Bryant, Pat Dye, they all said the best passing offense ever was the wishbone because you're guaranteed man-to-man in every coverage.
Well, and no one's looking for it. You
catch them with your pants down around their ankles. You're right.
Hey, you're trying to read keys for either that being a quarterback run, a slot back run, and the one that's always so good because you fake that and you give it for the fullback dive, and those things are tough. So you've got your reads to all that. Now, if you're going to fake those and throw the ball because everybody gets sucked in and you get long passes, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, it definitely is. I've heard some people, I don't want to say being critical about Seth Hennigan after that game, but people raising some questions about Seth, 218 yards, a touchdown, and an interception against Navy. What have you thought about Seth through these first three games?
I think Seth can get better.
Mm-hmm.
He's throwing at 71%. He's got 791 yards in 3 games. And he's got 5 touchdowns. He's thrown 3 picks. That's troublesome. I think the most troublesome thing could be that sometimes, and I don't know if it's when he feels pressure, because there was one play, he just hung in there, proper footwork, got that ball to the tight end Lamphere, and really got blasted. That is when they took him off the field and tested him for concussion. That was fundamentally perfect. But there are times when he is not footwork-wise, fundamentally sound. Those are the things I think he's really got to work on. His ball tends to sail. A couple of those interceptions this year have come from that. Sometimes I'm scared when he runs because he has not figured out how to slide correctly. He goes slide head first, and they don't even give him the break on sliding head first. They still take it where he slides. So maybe we should get the baseball coach out there and teach him how to slide feet first. Yeah, there's things he can do better. I would grade him probably C+, B-.
Here's the scary thing about baseball now, Dave. Nobody knows how to hook slide anymore, even in baseball.
No.
Everybody goes in head first with fingers first.
Well, they sure as hell don't know how to hit the other way.
They sure don't, and won't bunt. I mean,
Yeah.
So I'm with you, and a lot of these guys do need to. I mean, know when to fold them, dip it out of bounds, go in that hook slide, and protect yourself. Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, with us and the host of Wolo and Friends on these airwaves every day from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and I look forward to being with you tomorrow. The much-awaited, much-discussed trip to St. Louis to play Mizzou. We know how all that happened. If the Tigers if they're victorious Saturday, would that be Ryan Silverfield's biggest win as head coach of the Tigers?
Certainly biggest win. I don't know about biggest game. That still could be the first one that he coached.
True.
The Cotton Bowl.
And kind of any conference game.
But this is the best opportunity, I think.
But this one might be a reward a game ball, and you have it painted nicely for the office.
Well, I mean, if you go 4-0 and you get your first win over an SEC school, and now you're getting maybe talked about in the rankings, and you got Boise and Tulane, 2 critical games with complete week's rest, pretty much at home, where you'll have big crowds. This is I don't know if it's his biggest game. I will say it's his biggest opportunity by far.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we saw earlier this morning reports coming out that Brady Cook is now listed day-to-day going into this weekend. This is the same quarterback that got booed at the beginning of the game last week against Kansas State.
Jumbotron introductions.
And then
booed lustily.
Very, very much so. But I thought had a really good game against Kansas State. How big of a loss would that be for Missouri?
I think it'd be a big loss because Sam Horn, the backup, has only thrown 5 passes.
Oh, wow.
One was the TD, one was an interception. He's only thrown for 54 yards at a 60% clip, while Brady Cook averages 244 a game, 732 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks, 72% completion rate. He's a junior. The other kid is a redshirt freshman. So now they could also think about a kid named Jake Garcia, who's a transfer from Miami, a big sophomore from California. But I think they play Sam Horn. That's their 2 on the depth chart. And, I think that'd be a big advantage, Memphis, personally.
So out of the difficulties from Thursday night, the tackling was one, kind of consistently with the run game. Got some big runs, though, and starting to have something emerge at running back. I do think finding something at tight end, and by the end of the year, I think the chance for you got a big-time tailback and a big-time wide receiver.
I think we got a couple of good receivers. I think I'm guessing you're saying Rock Taylor. When you,
he's 9, right? Number 9?
He's number 3.
No, he's
3.
number
I'm
3.
sorry. 9's on defense. I'm sorry.
Rock Taylor is a kid. He's big, 6'3", 205. He's been here all the years, so he knows the system. He was getting so wide open last year, and I know, Bryant, you know this. I'm just telling you. I've said this on the broadcast stats. The kid has everything but solid hands. He dropped so many passes.
I just said it about Jonathan.
I was about to say, another guy we just talked about.
I just said it. His hands aren't consistent, and that kind of needs to be baked in the cake playing wide receiver.
Well, he is now. He has really become a solid possession receiver. He's had 15 catches. Some of them have been ridiculous. Ones he would never have made a year ago. So I'm high on him. But, you got the kid that was at Missouri, Toski Dove, who was the captain, by the way, really good kid. He averages 31 yards a catch. He's only had 4 of them, but he's got speed. Joe Skates, I think, is the kid. He wears 6.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped some passes. Now, that guy, he dropped a touchdown, but he's had a touchdown. He's a guy, he transferred from Iowa State. It's his second year here. He could be really good. He can blow by people. He's fast. And then, you mentioned the tight end. That kid's going to end up being a good receiver.
I think so.
His first pass was a 2-point conversion that he made a couple of games ago.
Very pre-scoring-esque. He's kind of a banger.
Yeah. He is. And, he's a redshirt junior. So I'm high on him because he's tough. He'll take a lick.
When Missouri gets the ball, the game plan's got to be keep an eye on Luther Burden.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's only averaging 128 yards a game.
Only. Yeah. I mean, walking the
he comes from East St. Louis High School. They have a lot of athletes there. And,
he's probably the biggest St. Louis youngster to stay at home at Mizzou. Ezekiel Elliott went to Ohio State, and way back in the 80s,
right.
Alvin Miller went to Notre Dame. It was big for them to get him. This game's almost a pie-in to him to please him and also to get out of the contract with the Memphis Tigers.
Oh, that definitely was the number one thing. And, in fact, I don't think they wanted to play Memphis at all. I'll be honest with you. I do think, though, that they were shamed by their own fans partially for relinquishing the stance of we're not going to play you, we'll give you $250,000 because they said, okay, we'll play in a neutral, we'll give you $1 million. That's a whole different story, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that their public perception, and Drinkwitz had to be careful. This is his 4th year, even though he's gone to bowls every year.
20 and 19.
He's one game
That's
over
it.
500. Last year they ended up losing the Gasparilla Bowl. They were 6 and 7. So
he
got
hadn't
heat
done
on
much for as comfortable as he seems and as indignant and cocky as he seems. He just hadn't won enough.
Well, you know what? He parlayed a fantastic year.
1 year at App State.
1 year at App State, he goes 12-1. Parlayed that into this game. And, I've been told by people in the business that have worked with him that he's a really smart guy. But I got to wonder, in the heat of battle, how good he is with detail orientation.
Well, he wasn't Saturday.
Last Saturday, when they win the ball game with a 61-yard field goal, you know why that ball was 61 yards out?
They blew it.
Because they blew it, and they were given a delay of game. Should have been a 56-yarder. Yeah. And this kid makes the longest field goal in the history of the SEC. So that's a good story, but it's not a good story why it was 61 yards.
That's a really good point. It really is. Well, Dave, thanks so much for joining us. Safe travels this weekend as you make your way up to St. Louis, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Be safe in St. Louis.
Wait. I've got one question because I got a major dilemma today.
Okay.
And only Brett Norsworthy can help me out. All right, I got 2 nights, right?
Yeah.
My wife's going. We're going to St. Louis. I'm going to throw out these 5 kill restaurants. It's like a George Lapidus segment here. In honor of George Lapidus.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Hit me.
Trattoria Marcella's.
Trattoria Marcella. That was George's favorite.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And just calling his name to the owner jumps you up a table in hospitality. Trust me.
Oh, my gosh. And a college friend of mine's daughter-in-law works there. I'm in, baby.
It's
all the connections.
It's one of the 2. What's the other one?
I'm going to give you 5. That's the first of 5. Antonitas Taverina.
Mm-hmm. It's good, but that's not on my list. But it's good.
Zia's, which I've eaten at, is really good.
Real good. I say more at lunchtime, but yeah, you're fine.
Then there is the favorite of Matt Dillon, who just cannot find enough adjectives of gastric elation. When I mention the word Gin Tony's.
It's there. Yeah, for sure.
And then finally, and I think this one's your favorite, it may be the most expensive, maybe that's why it's your favorite, St. Dominic.
What is it? I'm sorry?
St. Dominic.
Dominique's, just Dominique's, no Saint.
St. Dominique's, I'm sorry.
No, just Dominique's. And somewhere in there, you got to work in a room to go to, and it looks like how Dick Vitale spells it, but it's pronounced Vitales, and get one of the cream horns. It's a bakery. Somewhere you got to work that in. On the hill.
Vitale's Bakery?
Yeah, on the hill. All these places literally are 3 and 4 blocks from each other. I mean, you get to one, you're at the other one.
Now, here's my problem. How can they eat all this and still have room for Ted Drews?
Well,
you got a game plan, Dave.
Dave, that's the challenge you've got to meet.
Man.
And I think you're up to it.
Think so.
That may be as tough as Hennigan having to do business against this huge defensive line. So we'll figure it out.
It will be fun Saturday night. I said this to a crew today at lunch. It's not just puncher's chance. Ole Miss on the road, Tigers on the road, chance. Oh, yeah. Chance
Absolutely.
This weekend. Dave, we'll visit.
We'll visit
you're
tomorrow.
Right
on both accounts. No
I
doubt.
think so.
No doubt.
Thanks, Dave.
You got it.
All right. Thank
See
you,
man.
guys.
Dave Woloshyn joining us every single Tuesday to talk about the Tigers. You can hear him on all the radio broadcasts for the Tigers. Also, you can hear him here every single morning with Wolo and friends. But we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Week 2 in the NFL.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or 2. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're sitting in our family leisure studios, and it was a busy week, week 2 of the NFL, and a lot of teams kind of made their statements for a second week. I think the Cowboys made their statement again.
Parade route only being solidified.
We're just working what streets we want to go down at this point. The 49ers, I think, also did the same thing. And then Sunday Night Football, the Dolphins continue to show that I think they're a really good team. Now, you can argue, playing the Patriots, how good are the Patriots, an 0-2 team?
Uniforms were great.
Fantastic. But, I think we did get some answers, but I think still a lot of question marks, and the biggest one for me, at least, coming out of Week 2 is this New York Giants team. They get the win against the Cardinals, 31-28, but held scoreless through the first half and really could not get anything going. That secondary for the Giants is very, very questionable. It seemed like that Cardinals team that we know wants to lose was getting a lot of stuff through the air, and so that's very concerning for the Giants, but I thought a really fun week 2.
Fun week 2 and a little bit through 2 games. I know that, but very, very early, a little like college football and that feeling of wide open in the NFL.
It seems like it.
Now, the NFL's made to be wide open.
Sure.
By the very salary cap structure, free agency, all that, the 53-man roster, it's made to be more equitable than college football. But it really feels like, I don't know anybody could guarantee you Kansas City repeats.
Right. Yeah. There's none about that, and really kind of the. If you go back the last 5 or 6 years and think about what the Kansas City Chiefs have been, and then you go back the last 5 or 6 years and think about what the Detroit Lions have been, and the fact that the Detroit Lions beat the Chiefs on the first game of the season, it kind of just shows you how equivalent we are as a league and kind of how wide open.
And that's what Goodell wants.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what they all want. A larger debate question could be, after the summertime of discontent from NFL running backs, now in the first few weeks with these injuries, then the ugly injury to Nick Chubb, if you haven't seen it, don't watch.
No.
I don't want to see it again. And
very similar to his injury at Georgia.
Sure was. And the injury to Saquon Barkley and the injury to Dobbins.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, yeah.
You're having the running back debate, and I think whatever side you fall on is the side you probably fell on in the whole union within a union. I think it's proof positive the owners almost colluding. We're not breaking the bank for running backs. I'm sorry. They use the excuse as they get older, you're getting older. They use the excuse when they're younger not to pay them. Well, I don't know the lifespan of you. I can't get bound to a big contract. If you're on the running back side, if you're on the player agent representation side, you're saying this is exactly why we need more, because it is so dangerous. The owners are going to win this.
I think you're right, but it is a shame to see, like you said, all of these running backs going down early, and you talk about Saquon Barkley, and that's a guy that, immediately after the season last year, he said, I got to have more money. Sat out, said he was going to sit out through training camp.
And then folded.
He of course folded, but he gets some money and then comes back, and now he's injured. So I hate to see it, but I think you're right. The owners are going to win this one.
They're not going to relent, and they do use it in whatever fashion they want. Mm-hmm. When you're young, you haven't proven anything, and I can't pay this much for hope. When you get old and you've proven something, now you're old, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you all this cash, and you're going, wait, what's the deal? You win both ways.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they're billionaires.
Yeah.
And that's why they mostly always win. You can win with this. For any event coming up, and know a lot of fall events are coming up for big catering jobs, let Jason's Deli take care of it for you. Catering favorites for $5,000 or $5,000, a variety of delicious choices for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all-day meals for groups of 5 or 5,000. Check out the most popular choices, or you can by going online to jasonsdeli.com. Bringing more to the table. It's a family thing. Same day and last-minute orders welcomed. When you think you don't have it planned perfectly, let them do it. Wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. Whether you're dining in, to go, or delivery, it's all about choice. Regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, you'll be delighted at Jason's Deli. And these locations, like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova, that salad bar, over 30 items, just there to select from, and you build it however you would like. Catering, again, anytime, anywhere, and complimentary free ice cream in these locations: Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Check them out online at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's wrap up our first hour, get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk college football with Brent Beard.
I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring and continue to get compliments on it, because it looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, but he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world, and that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew that they were the best.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in an elegant setting. Got the value price Genesis is known for. And now they both tell everyone they meet about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Always been you,
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Cooling or heating system on the fritz? Dripping faucet? Call the pros at Conway Services today and we'll waive the service call fee with any HVAC or plumbing repair. Expert technicians available 7 days a week. Call 384-3511 to schedule your appointment. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19688.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit Acura of Memphis for Summer of Performance deals. AcuraofMemphis.com.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beard, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beard. SEC, ACC, AAC. We talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beard with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Brent Beard joining us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville. And Brent, I want to start off with a game that happened down in the state of Florida Saturday night between Tennessee and Florida in the Swamp. We didn't really talk much about it last week. Kind of thought that Tennessee should go in there and handle business, but it was the exact opposite. Florida came out early and really dominated that game from start to finish. What were your thoughts from both sides? Florida with an impressive win over the Vols, but Tennessee continuing to struggle on the offensive side of the ball and not being able to get it done Saturday against the Gators.
Well, I was there covering that game, and it was just an amazing night, particularly for Gator fans. I mean, it reminded you of what they used to do during the Spurrier era, where they were just absolutely dominant. The crowd was, I don't know if you would say what level it was on, but Florida has a open-air press box, one of the few. I'd be curious how many open-air press boxes Brett have seen, but so it's hot or cold depending, but we had a nice night, we had a nice breeze, and they were well prepared. Florida did what it didn't do against Utah, which is, against Utah, they threw the ball about 44 times and ran it for 21. Well, they basically reversed that against Tennessee, which is their strength. They've got to be able to run the ball. ETN was really good as a running back. Montrell Johnson is too. And Graham Mertz is not going to be a Heisman candidate, but he makes routine plays, what they did not have last year with Anthony Richardson. I think their biggest improvements on defense. This guy, Austin Armstrong, who is 29 years old, Brett and I have shoes older than Austin Armstrong.
I swear I have neckties older than that.
That's hilarious.
And ties too.
And wear them.
Absolutely.
Of course you do. I know you do.
And I'm proud of it. So, but Armstrong's done a tremendous job defensively for them. They've got I think more of an identity. It was a big game. They came through. They were able to win it. Now, what does that mean? Well, it probably means that if they continue to play well, they may be 8-4, but that's a heck of a lot better than 5-7 and 6-6. And listen, they've got a big game coming up next week at Kentucky, and if they win that game, guys, they might be coming into Jacksonville playing an undefeated Georgia and only have one loss. That would be tremendous for that game if that happens.
Yeah, that's a big win for Billy Napier if he gets to the cocktail party with just one loss. You're right about that open air setting at Florida. You get all the conditions and you get some of the fan feel. You can really feel them on top of you. And if I remember right, Brent, and I've only been to that stadium 3 times for games, but if I'm right, the media area is from about the 30-yard line on. It's kind of to the right of all the action, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can still see well.
You can.
That makes a big difference in that game. And again, when you've got that place at night and those fans are on top of you, it is really it's hard to hear. I think that unnerved Tennessee at times with penalties.
Joe Milton was very average.
He was. There's no doubt about that.
The coaching was average. The effort was average.
Yes, the whole 9 yards was. Mm-hmm. And again, this bears repeating, and this is hard to believe, but you get this in the SEC. And, coming into that game, in 21 games in Gainesville, Tennessee only won 5 times, 2 of those in the 1950s, which is amazing. But they really have Tennessee's number, so they're trending upward. And right now, I don't know if we know really where Tennessee is. Even in the first 2 games for Tennessee, there were some struggles there. I mean, they'll have a chance to rebound, but I can see why now that folks thought they may take a bit of a step backward with the talent they lost to the NFL.
If Josh Heupel cannot correct Joe Milton, and he's had him for a while now, 21, 22, 23, then it can't be fixed. Then it's just a big arm that needs to go to these 7-on-7 camps and win the long throw contest. Maybe get him in a punt, pass, and kick contest.
Yeah. Well, look, that's what Florida went through last year with Anthony Richardson. He's improved somewhat. And look, they're not going to have an easy game this weekend with Texas San Antonio. That's a good
Especially
club.
Frank Harris is back. I don't know his availability. He was in a boot last week on the sideline in their loss to Army.
In his Brent, 7th year or something like that? It's amazing how long that Harris
he's been there longer than they've had FBS football.
Yeah, which is amazing to think about that. That's true.
It feels like that for a lot of people. And we're into a time, no matter how much we study in the summer and think we've got a handle on it, every weekend I'm turning on, he plays for them, huh? I didn't know he was still playing. That feeling of these 2 words, and Lane Kiffin said it, free agency. That's where we are.
Yes. Well, we are. There's no question about that. And you just and see that's like J.T. Daniels playing for Rice, and that's now his
Keaton Slovis
school.
The Keaton Slovis appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need you need the roster right now more than ever.
Brent, I want to go same state, but up a little bit to Florida State because they got quite a scare over the weekend when they traveled up to Boston College. Only won by 2 points. It looked like it was going to be about a 20-point win for them in the fourth quarter, but then Boston College scores a couple of unanswered touchdowns. For Florida State, I've heard some people arguing if that was kind of something to pay attention to, of maybe you should be worried about this Florida State team, or just a one-off against Boston College, maybe a look-ahead game against Clemson. Where do you fall in that?
They needed that, frankly. They had numerous breakdowns in the secondary. Lawrence Toafifila had a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. They muffed a kickoff that resulted in a turnover. That they probably needed that just to get it out of their system before Clemson. But look, every year, as average as that league is in football, when you go on the road at a Boston College or a NC State, two teams that Florida State has always struggled with, they are, and they did again. That they really overlooked these teams. You've got weather conditions, the wind probably consistently in the 30s. But this really sets up a humongous week for them. Clemson and Florida State is, frankly, right now, like to a smaller degree, Tennessee playing in Gainesville, because Florida State has not beaten Clemson since the middle of the last decade, around 2014, and they've got to exorcise some demons themselves with Clemson. Now, they could play them twice, the way having done away with the divisions, but no, I think last week was probably a game that FSU needed to get out of their system in order to get prepared for Clemson. And right now, Florida State's a better football team. Doesn't mean that they'll go up there and play like it, but they've got the better talent right now. And I'm not sure that's something we could have said certainly 2 years ago and maybe in the preseason.
Even with the close scare at Chestnut Hill, the near-death experience football-related, FSU had to be good to pull that game out. And I think I think coaches kind of like seeing a game like that you're able to pull off and win. Brent Beard, our guest, talking college football from Jacksonville, from First Coast News. Brent, you know Alabama football very well, having grown up in Walker County in Jasper and knowing that campus and that university so well. In the history of Alabama football, who will go down as one of the more anonymous, forgettable people ever? Cooper Bateman, Blake Barnett, or Tyler Buckner?
I would probably say right now Tyler Buckner, who won't ever see the field again.
Great answer, because Cooper Bateman led to Jake Coker that led to a national championship.
Right. Absolutely.
Blake Barnett led to Jalen Hurts, who got him in the national championship game and a narrow loss to Clemson. Buckner is not going to have that following him. No, and they've just got a real problem right now at quarterback. Frankly, their best quarterback is Ty Simpson. That's the guy they really need to develop. Now, they've got a kid named Lonergan who's a freshman that they need to get in there too. And some of this, frankly, is on Nick Saban, because he doesn't play enough players and he doesn't develop these guys like he needs to. And I get the fact that they've gone back to Milroe and they're trying to use his legs, but they need to use him correctly. They need to get him out on the edge so he can run or pass. He's not a pocket passer, and he has a tendency to throw to the other jersey. That's probably the biggest problem at this point. But they've got a offensive line that has been woeful compared to what people thought it would be. So they've got a huge problem with Ole Miss coming in, firing on all cylinders at this point, and Alabama's going to have to run for 200 yards plus, I think, in order to stay in the game, much less win it. Brent, we really are, and we knew, unless it just worked out blissfully, just perfectly into retirement. How often does that happen for Nick Saban? We knew there would be kick points. We knew there would be demarcation of, are we getting close to the end? How close to the end? Is this the start of the end? Where are we with his storied career? Brent, we lived it with Coach Bryant. We know of the problems in 81 and 82. in the locker room, on the field, largely around quarterback, mostly around Walter Lewis, even some consternation with Walter Lewis and Tommy Wilcox. We're living it all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the difference in Coach Bryant than Saban, at least to this point, is Coach Bryant's recruiting classes, and you didn't have the data available like we do now back then, but Coach Bryant's recruiting classes tailed off, and they just didn't have the talent they used to toward
well,
the
and the
end
big
of
miss
his
was
career.
not getting Bo.
Yeah, absolutely, and which made a big difference, obviously. But that's yet to happen for Saban. But the problem is that besides the offensive line questions, the quarterback questions, the defense played better than it did. But they've just got to be able to find some kind of an identity. They don't have a whole lot of time to do it at this point either. And again, that's Alabama's, in summary, is the example of the season that we did not expect. And that's what's made this season so interesting so far.
You know, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know any listener under 40 doesn't care about this topic. but Coach Bryant's recruiting, how it did tail off, and we didn't have the emphasis on it like we have. It was important, but we didn't have the emphasis on stars and 4 stars and 5 stars. Mm-hmm. You could even say a few years before it, and I know Ole Miss fans may not believe this, but it was big for Ole Miss to get John Forcade over Coach Bryant.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that, and that's a good point. You didn't have a lot of that, and also people may not realize this too, but we are most of the folks have lived in a era to where you've been limited to 25 scholarships a year. When Coach Bryant's era, he was virtually unlimited.
Yeah, he could shelve them.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could. This is being a little bit facetious, but it's not. But you could. My story is you could sign 100 to 150 kids
and hide them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Put them on the track team or the baseball team mm-hmm. or something like that during
swimming
that
team.
time. Oh yeah,
and they did. Steve Wallace was a big miss in that era, the offensive lineman.
Yes.
If I got his name right at Auburn, right? Steve Wallace? Yeah. I think.
Brent, I do want to ask you about another SEC team. How worried should Arkansas be heading down to Baton Rouge this week after LSU really dominated against Mississippi State? I mean, when you look at this Arkansas team, I think that offense has kind of been slow when it comes to production, and kind of those penalties are adding up. I think 14 penalties against BYU this past weekend. Rocket Sanders still questionable for this weekend. How worried should Arkansas fans be about this team?
I don't know. Look, I want to see hands on how many of them think they can actually win this game. I don't think there's any way in the world.
In the preseason, it was very few. It's got to be even less today.
Yeah. There's listen. I saw a stat.
6 o'clock, Tiger Stadium would be right too.
Oh yeah,
on ESPN.
Can you imagine that? And look, I saw a stat yesterday. Arkansas's played in 31 football seasons in the SEC and only had 7 winning SEC records. So, look, I like the program. I like Pittman. They need to stay with him, but this game is not going to work. I had the privilege of covering FSU and LSU in Orlando, and I know FSU had their way with them in the second half. But that's still a tremendously talented football team, and I tell you guys, I don't think there was a better performance in the SEC than LSU was Saturday. I mean that thing. Listen, that thing was over at the end of the first quarter, and that they looked like they were in midseason form, also, and frankly, part of that issue too was Mississippi State changing that offense and Will Rogers just being entirely too uncomfortable with it. So, but it's a good point, Bryant, because I think LSU. I think unfortunately, this game may be over at halftime too.
Yeah. Brent, at one time I was a really big boxing fan. I hadn't watched any of it in almost 35 years. But I don't know what the level is above a puncher's chance, but I think Memphis has a better than puncher's chance Saturday night in St. Louis against Mizzou, and they're the only remaining AAC undefeated team. Today in ESPN Bowl projections, Kyle Bonagura, he has the Memphis Tigers in the Peach Bowl. That would be just another fantastic achievement. If the Memphis Tigers can go to the Cotton Bowl with a loss to Temple, you can sure go to the Peach Bowl with a loss to Mizzou. But a win over Mizzou, that would do a lot, wouldn't it?
And I think the other thing is, from a mental standpoint, Brent Bryant, is Missouri ready to mentally? Those kids have listen. Everybody on campus have told them how great they are this week. And can you imagine how many dates the kicker has got over the last
Never
few
mind
days?
dates. We're not worried about that anymore. We're worried about cashing in NIL.
Times
have changed.
Really. But no, I would agree with that. I think it would be really hard for Memphis to get up and be ready to play again. Missouri in this game. I'll tell you what, I watched that Memphis game with a lot of interest. I was quite frankly very impressed with them. And the thing that they're able,
they had to gnaw it out against Navy, but you have to. And we were visiting with Dave Woloshin about an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago. And sports is pass-fail. They pass because they won.
That's right. And that's all that matters. But here's the thing about Missouri:
we don't grade on a curve.
No, we absolutely don't. And you don't get style posts for getting close either.
But it's not platform diving.
No, it's not. But Missouri has really struggled, guys. And I like Brady Cook, but they've struggled offensively. And Eli Drinkwith even gave up calling plays. Now their defense, I think, may be next level, frankly, in the conference. But the issue is going to be, I think the mental aspect in Memphis playing well. I would agree with that. I could see Memphis winning that game, and I'm not even sure it'd be that much of an upset.
Wow, I agree with you on that. I think it should be a great thing, a great game, I should say. Brent, last thing for you. It seemed like the entire country was locked into that Colorado State game on Saturday. The ratings came out earlier today, and they were
clock still out
phenomenal.
Of whack
Join the club. But this week now they'll go up to Eugene to play Oregon, a top 25 matchup in the afternoon. How difficult does it get now for Colorado now that they're starting Pac-12 play?
Very.
Oregon,
and
USC. That ain't Colorado
That's a tough
State.
back-to-back.
Agreed. Oregon and USC are going to, I think, deflate the balloon a lot. I get the story. I get why people are interested in it.
I think it's good for the sport.
Oh, yeah.
Sure it is. But the other thing is, and I use this analogy with the Heisman Trophy. You don't win the Heisman Trophy in September. You don't make the playoffs in September either. My concern for Colorado is, and we begin to see this against Colorado State, is that they don't have the depth to carry them throughout the year, and at some point that's going to get them. But look. They're almost halfway there. They win 3 more games. They're going to a bowl game, and
Lord
knows.
Some bowl director would love having
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine that?
They won't even announce the opponent. In our bowl game this year, Colorado.
Absolutely. So, yes, the conference schedule will catch up with them because the talent depth is just not there right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. But, Brent, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I won't see you in Tuscaloosa, only Brother Brett.
Yeah, only Brother Brett, but he will.
What is there, a one beard limit at BDS now?
He will be in the press box.
I mean, I know y'all are prone to cause trouble, but I mean.
Yeah, especially photobombing certain coaches. That's true.
Just confusing them. Didn't I see you earlier?
That's hilarious.
Did you change shirts? Yeah. Brent, we appreciate you,
Thanks,
man.
Brent.
Always, guys. Take care.
Thank you so much. Brent Beard with us every Tuesday talking college football, and everybody's glad of the nice mornings and the cooler weather, and fall is here, and it's happening at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevy. Not only can you get a new 23 Silverado today, right now, you can get financing as low as 0 interest in 3 months with no payments. Your good credit deserves this, and you will get it at All-Star. First exit down Highway 78. When you cross into Mississippi, it's Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there at All-Star. Drive a Silverado or a Traverse. See Kevin or Jeff if you want a custom order. If you're a first responder, educator, military, healthcare professional, recent college grad, this is your month for bonus cash and more at All-Star Chevy. See Kevin or Jeff. They asked me to thank all of you who brought your cars and trucks to All-Star to sell. They're paying great money, and you can get a check today, even if you still owe money against it, even if you didn't buy it from All-Star. Their certified pre-owned section is loaded. Lots of F-150, Silverados, Ram trucks, a Denali, even a Mercedes. If you need service or maintenance, call Sean or Jeff in the All-Star Chevy Service Department. And remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, it's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we got to talk about after Week 3 in college football, after Week 2 in the National Football League, what are we absolutely certain about? 100%
what are you certain of at the text line?
Yes, 100% certain. Send us your text of what you're certain about in both college football and NFL. And on the other side, we'll give you ours. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM. And 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or two. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And Brett, another weekend in the books in both college football and the NFL, and we've got to talk about what we're certain about. A lot of games, a lot of teams, but let's start in the NFL. Brett, what are you absolutely certain about in the NFL after Week 2?
Not just from injury, but also from 100-yard production. I'm certain of the devaluing of the running back position. What have there been 4 100-yard rushing games over 2 weeks? Two each, both weeks. I think.
Yeah, I think it's right.
Maybe 5. It's not any more than that. But you still have to run the ball. But the position, the glamour position of Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, into the 80s players and certainly the 70s, we've moved away from that, and I hate that. But it has been devalued, and with that, those players can complain all they want, like we talked about at 345. The owners kind of get them coming and going.
Yep.
When they're young, they get devalued. When they're old, they break out the amortization schedule.
Yep.
You don't have any hits left in you.
Yeah.
I'm certain of that.
Well, what I'm certain about, and I've got to be very clear on my wording here, Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I don't know if he's great yet. I don't know if he's an all-pro caliber quarterback yet, but I do know he's a good quarterback. After all of the question marks, now you can say, well, he had an opportunity to lead the team down, 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter and couldn't get it done. But you have to look at that game. I know it was against Atlanta. I know, say what you want about a 2-0 Atlanta team, but the team lost, but it wasn't because of Jordan Love. 14 for 25, only 151 yards, but 3 passing touchdowns. He's yet to throw an interception as a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. We have to remember he's very young. Because of Aaron Rodgers being the starting quarterback, he hasn't had that opportunity to get those reps that he needed, and now he's getting those reps. And you look, I would almost call Jordan Love a rookie quarterback, even though this is his 3rd year in the league. He's basically like a rookie because he's not getting those reps. He's getting them at practice, but he's not getting game reps, which you really need in the NFL. And you look around at a lot of other young quarterbacks, only one place to get him. And you saw last night a guy like Kenny Pickett, who is in his 2nd year as a starting quarterback, or 2nd year in the league.
We devalued preseason.
We have, and you're seeing young quarterbacks throwing interceptions. I know Alan Bell, who we'll talk to on Friday, one of his favorite NFL prop bets is for a quarterback to throw an interception in a game. He was all over Kenny Pickett last night, and Kenny Pickett threw one. For Jordan Love to not have a single interception through 2 games is very promising. And so I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. Yet to be seen if he's a great quarterback or even an all-pro level quarterback, but he's good.
One more NFL certainty for me. I'm certain that if Baker Mayfield goes to the playoffs, he's going to be insufferable.
Yeah.
There's going to be some apologies that have to be offered up. Right now, just 2-0, but his football obituary got written a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he's having a good start. I'm certain he will be hard to handle if he gets back. And right now, just 2-0, and not just any 2-0. 2-0 in the shadow of Tom Brady.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough, and he's loving it down in Tampa Bay. Another thing from the NFL I'm certain about from that same game, but I'll go the other team. The Chicago Bears have major issues on that team, and I'm not just talking about play calling or play.
Well, like those orange uniforms.
Oh, well, yeah,
burn those.
That too. I think there are problems in the locker room, and so I'm certain that there's problems on these teams, but I'll go a little deeper. I think there are problems in the locker room. I mean, when you look at Justin Fields and what he's doing out there, he does not look like a quarterback that has a deep connection with his weapons. And then if you look at his receivers, I saw multiple plays.
He makes Trubisky look like Sid Luckman.
And that's sad. But I saw multiple plays over the weekend of DJ Moore being wide open and having his hands up, and after a play,
he couldn't get to him.
Just shoulders sunk down, shrugging, going, why is he not looking my direction? You also look at a guy like Chase Claypool that they did not know if he was going to be able to play this week, not because he was injured. They were going to healthy scratch him because of the lack of effort that he showed in that week 1 game. So for the Bears, I know a lot of people thought this could be a promising season for them. Another year of Justin Fields, you add DJ Moore, you bring Chase Claypool back, but there's some serious issues with that Chicago Bears team.
I fibbed. I have one more.
All right, I love
NFL.
it.
And Bryant, please accept my apology up front to you.
Okay.
I'm certain of my disappointment in you. The Cowboys are 2-0, and you haven't worn a jersey up here yet.
Well, Brett, I have it in the car. The problem is it's a little dirty.
What good is it doing in the car?
It needs to be washed, Brett. I haven't washed it. I don't want to make life terrible for y'all because I'm stinking.
The best player in the NFL is Micah Parsons.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is. I know we talked a lot about him last year and just kind of the different positions he could play on the field and how versatile he was. But if you just sit down,
an offensive package.
Oh man, I would love to see that. I mean, he'd be great fullback. But
if he got hurt,
that'd be awful. But I mean, you just watch him, and teams are having to double team him, and that's not even enough to stop him. He's still getting in the backfield, causing havoc when being double teamed. He's incredible, absolutely.
And here's the risk on any of that two-way player stuff, and Justin Hunter's doing it so well.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, and he got hurt on an off. He was playing offense when he got hurt, and I remember in 2018, if you tried Micah Parsons on offense and they took out a kneecap, just a stinger, missed 2 or 3 weeks. In 2018, in Little Rock at War Memorial, in the 5th or 6th game of the year, DK Metcalf gets hurt on kick coverage. And I left that night, not around any of the coaches, I didn't, but I left that night muttering to my buddies with some colorful language, we just got DK Metcalf hurt covering kicks.
Who was it for Ole Miss against Memphis? That was
Robert Kimdiche when he got dropped on his head.
Mm-hmm, when he
playing
was
fullback.
Yep, that's right. So I mean, there's a lot of risk to it. And I'll never forget that Ole Miss play with Robert Kimdiche against Memphis. All right, well let's go to college. What's something you're absolutely certain of after week 3 in college?
I don't know my various alarms at the fire station, but however many that they have. It's the 9-alarm fire at Alabama.
Yeah.
Now, it can be extinguished, and it can be extinguished this Saturday. Remember, 2 years ago, now Alabama didn't have this much uncertainty around them then. But I and many others thought this is the year. Lane Kiffin's first trip back down there with Matt Corral, going to go in and pull the upset. In a blink of an eye, it was 35-0.
Yeah.
35-0.
Yeah.
Final score 42-21, and that didn't come close to reflecting the pasting. That day. That was the day that Lane Kiffin said post-game, we couldn't catch Will Anderson to hold him.
Yeah.
We couldn't. He just was too elusive to hold. So a lot of people on blast, on alert. I have a good feeling about Ole Miss Saturday, and it's not just because, I promise you, but this is when Alabama sometimes can answer, and it makes other teams mad. You can fill in all the other teams practically, certainly in the SEC West. And at some point, post-game, caller, host, somebody can say, well, we were Alabama and you were you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, and this is not what I'm certain about, but I was talking to – I went over to one of my buddies' house on Saturday to watch football, and we were watching the tail end of the Alabama game, and I said to them, and we all agreed, in 2023, if you do not have a quarterback, maybe even a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field, it's really hard to succeed in this day and age of college football, and you're seeing that right now with Alabama. You probably could have predicted in the preseason when after the spring game they had to go out and add a third quarterback, but now they're in a situation where it's very clear, they're going back to Jalen Milroe this week, but it's very clear they don't like any of their options at quarterback right now, and it's getting ugly down there.
How did it get like this?
It's crazy.
When I think they knew early in the spring we got to get in the quarterback sweepstakes somewhere, and just couldn't get one.
Yeah,
I'm certain of this. Tennessee now has real questions after me having them in the college football playoff. They have real questions around a 8+ win season.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But they're not alone.
No.
You look at Arkansas. If we redid all these W's and L's, and we're not, listener, promise you, we're not going to hold you hostage to September W's and L's. That's just an August thing. But a lot of this complexion of the season has really changed.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right.
In just 3 games.
Just 3 games. I do want to point out, when we were talking NFL, we did have one text I wanted to point out. T.J. Watt is no slouch. I'm certain on that. Absolutely.
I agree. And was stunned that was his first NFL touchdown.
Oh, yeah, crazy. And
it felt like J.J. Watt scored every week.
And the only reason I wanted to bring up this text message out of the ones we've gotten is because we should have mentioned T.J. Watt earlier when we were talking about the Steelers game last night. He was unbelievable. Oh, absolutely. He was unbelievable. One thing I'm certain about in college football, and this might there might be a lot of people that disagree with me on this, but I'm pretty certain about it. The transfer portal has been good for college football, and it's bringing the parity immediately to college football that we've longed for a really, really long time. You're seeing teams like Colorado that has flipped an entire roster. Brett, and I just thought about this when we were talking to Brent a little bit ago. Colorado's win-loss over-under on most sports books before the season was 3.5. We are going to week 4, and they already have 3 wins. They just need one more win the rest of the season to cover their preseason over-under. When that came out, I heard a lot of people, not here on these stations, but national people and local people say, there is no way, I said it, there is no way this team wins more than 3 games. And they're doing it. And that's just showing you what the transfer portal has done. You look around and you're seeing these schools. I think it's also helping mid-major football, these group of 5 football teams, because you're seeing at a lot of these places where a 4 or 5 star prospect might go to Miami or Tennessee or somewhere, and it just doesn't work out for them, and they decide to transfer closer to home or down a level to a group of 5 school. But you're also seeing it at the higher level where Quinn Ewers couldn't get any playing time at Ohio State. He transfers down to Texas, and he's now a Heisman Trophy candidate. So the transfer portal, it might have some things that we don't like about it, but it's working, and it's bringing parity that I think college football is needed.
I'm certain of this, and this is, and it was put in a really tough, awkward spot. But it hit me Saturday morning early watching games before getting busy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain of the hole left, and it's almost hard to believe that Coach Mike Leach isn't here.
Yeah.
And isn't at State and good for college football and fun-loving for college football. I'm certain college football lost one of its truly bigger figures.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. One more thing I'm completely certain about over the weekend is, Brett, I was good. And on top of that, Iowa has an offense, which I did not think I would be saying
I didn't know they ran
in week
it up
4.
at the end. I heard Eli kind of taking a shot at Kirk Ferentz today.
As he should, because
I didn't know they
us
did that.
28.5 point, plus 8.5 point bettors, we're feeling pretty good with about a minute left in the fourth quarter. But
it's a bad beat.
It is a very bad beat. But in their defense, they have coaches on their staff that they're Kirk Ferentz's son's offensive coordinator, and they have things in their contract that say you get X amount of money or you get fired if you don't get X amount of points. So they need to kind of run it up on teams, but they definitely, run it up or not, when you look at a box score for Iowa and see 14 points in the second quarter, 17 points in the third quarter, 10 points in the fourth quarter.
That's LaVelle Edwards stuff.
If you had told me 3
2 years ago, maybe even last year, that who cares who they're playing? They're playing an FBS opponent, and they scored 14, 17, and 10 in 3 quarters. I would say that's not Iowa. Maybe Iowa State. That's certainly not Iowa.
I'm certain my NFL picks have stunk this year. I'm 2-11 in the NFL. You're 9-4 in the NFL. You are 15-5 in college football. I am 10-10 in college football. 12-21 for me on the year. 24-9 for you on the year.
Wow, that's a good start. Let's hope it keeps up.
Yeah,
I don't know if it will, but hopefully it will. Well, that's what we're certain about in both the NFL and college football. But let's get to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine against sludge and wear with a synthetic oil change. O'Reilly Auto Parts has 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $35.95. Plus, get a $5 O reward to use on a future purchase. Our professional parts people can also recommend all the supplies you need for your next oil change. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Howdy folks, Dominic Cunha, General Manager at Sunrise Buick GMC on Covington Pike. Our Western Trading Day sales event is here again. My ranch managers have been instructed to slash prices, so if you're looking for a great deal, don't look any further. New Buicks and GMCs, discounts up to $6,500 and a $12 million used car inventory. The Sunrise Ranch on the Pike is the place to go. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing and used cars below $69.95. Visit us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person at 1800 Covington Pike.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com. I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
If you've tried to buy a Rolex watch lately, you know how difficult it is. New models are in rare supply. Some jewelers put you on wait lists. Others make you buy their other jewelry at inflated prices just to be considered for a Rolex purchase. Well, that's all changed now that Genesis Diamonds has arrived. Genesis Diamonds is the premier dealer of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. People who come in are shocked to see Daytonas, Hulks, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejusts, all the hard-to-find Rolex watches ready to wear today. At Genesis, we've used our worldwide connections to find only the first luxury pre-owned Rolexes, immaculate, pristine watches, fairly priced with no strings attached, and with flexible financing options. So enough with the wait list and the retail jeweler games. Get the Rolex of your dreams today at Genesis Diamonds. And if you already have a Rolex and are interested in trading up, we also have Rolex buyers on site every day. Just another example of how we're forever changing the jewelry landscape here. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, I'm going to go to the NFL for my big number of the day, and my big number will be 380. C.J. Stroud is officially the first quarterback from Ohio State to throw for 380-plus yards in an NFL game. Stroud also has more 300-yard passing games than Justin Fields now. Fields has played in 27 games, while Stroud has only played in 2. Stroud is also currently 4th in the NFL. Now, that might have changed after those 2 games last night. Stroud is currently 4th in the NFL and 2nd in the AFC in passing yards with 626 passing yards. So while the Texans are not winning games, it looks like so far through 2 games, C.J. Stroud is putting together a nice stat sheet.
He's been okay. They're 0-2, but they kind of knew that was going to happen. New head coach, rookie quarterback, that's part of it. And for Justin Fields, I was big on him, and I thought it was the perfect pick for the Bears. There's a lot of debate about kind of what's messing things up. Is it him or is it everything around him?
Yeah.
But I know the answer, so I don't even know why I'm asking it. But why would the Bears, with one of the classic uniform looks, one of the great helmets, Greg and Eli did their 5 favorites a few weeks ago on the best helmets across football. That blackish blue, mostly black Bear helmet, it's one of the classics. And then to break out the pumpkins Sunday, why?
Well, all these NFL
team store.
Teams,
I know, the team store.
Yeah, all these teams
are
trying to be different and try to give something a little pizzazz, and all these diehard fans want the new stuff. It's crazy.
And I just wonder who that's attracting.
I don't know.
And is there a benefit to get them at maybe risking longtime fans? But you probably have sold all you want to sell to the longtime fans.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, all these longtime fans aren't going to buy anything. That's like I know with like a lot of hockey teams, they'll come out with these like different jerseys and stuff like that. And I was asking one of my buddies, like, why would anybody care about these? And he's a big hockey fan. He was like, well, a lot of these like diehard hockey fans, they already have like every jersey that the team wears. Yeah. They want a new. They'll go buy a new one. If who cares what it looks like? It's just a new jersey for them to add to their collection. So I think that's what it is.
My big number is 8. It will just be the 8th time Saturday for Notre Dame and Ohio State to play 5-2 all-time Bucks over Irish. In Columbus 3 times, in Phoenix twice, and Saturday will be the 3rd time in the shadow of Touchdown Jesus. When you say Ohio State and Notre Dame, you know that's big-time college football. And here's another really big number, $1 billion.
Whew.
Do you believe Phil Mickelson bet in his life $1 billion?
I don't believe it. I did see his tweet last night about kind of saying he had to step away and was kind of starting to realize his problem with gambling. But no, that seems like a ton of money.
But the book out claims $1 billion. We've got to ask Alan Bell and Bruce on Friday if they think that's in the ball.
There's no way. I mean, I understand Phil Mickelson's made a lot of money in his lifetime and has plenty of money to spend on whatever he chooses to spend it on. But that seems like a ton of money.
And just remember what $1 billion is. that's one more million than 999 million. Now, just think of somebody betting $900 million.
That's insane.
Yeah, I just don't think he did that. Now it's grabbed the headlines.
Sure.
And that author, very compelling. I've seen him out in some interviews. It's not just a scorn lover. It's
interesting. Because that's
he's plenty better over going to jail and losing his daughter.
Sure. I remember I read a book about Phil Mickelson that came out a couple years ago. I can't remember who the author was, but literally the introduction starts with him being like, "Yeah, me and Phil were cool, and then we had this falling out. And the first time I met Phil, he like yelled at me at a golf tournament, and I was like, why are you telling me this in the intro? Now I don't believe anything you say because it seems like you have like this like love-hate relationship with Phil Mickelson. It's just weird. So I am glad to hear that this one doesn't seem to be like that. It seems to be kind of more journalistic and actual information in this book.
Yeah, it was to the shock of no one. I mean, for years he was out there talking. I mean, I can remember listening to him on Dan Patrick when Dan Patrick was on ESPN radio.
Yeah.
They almost did a Friday pick segment, and how much he loved the action on all the games. We know, the golf course and around golf clubs that look there's a lot of wagering going on things, and he likes it. We also know here that he is cash is king to him. That he carries around the Uncle Jed wad of cash, and great tipper. To one and all, from big or small, he rolls like that. And the story of him winning maybe a Tuesday side game with Tiger, and kind of taking a picture of, and he won, and he took a picture of all the winnings and kind of stuck it in Tiger's ear, and Tiger didn't like it very much.
No, he didn't.
Because Tiger won where it really mattered.
Oh, yeah. Where, when you look at the Hall of Fame stats, he definitely won where that counted.
More 15 majors.
Yeah. One more big number for me, and it is the amount of people that tuned in for the Colorado State game. We finally got those numbers. It looks like 9.3 average viewers for Colorado State.
9 million.
Yeah, 9 million, excuse me, and peaked at over 11 million people, which is insane for the time of night. We talked a lot about that yesterday. Incredible.
When the whole country was all ready to go to bed.
Yes, literally. I mean, people, you talked about your internal clock is still messed up. I mean, think about those people on the East Coast that basically said, I'm going to give up my Sunday morning just to watch this game tonight. Really incredible.
Again, the beauty of college football, played on the worst TV night.
Yes.
It's not playing, prime time on Tuesday night.
No. I mean, it's Saturday. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. So that was a really, really cool to see. But that'll do it for our second hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back to start our 5 o'clock hour, we'll talk NFL with Bo Marchant.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good.
Bell Tavern is waiting for you this Saturday. Well, Bell Tavern is waiting for you all the time, but this Saturday and the next bunch of Saturdays are different because these Saturdays we have college football. We say it all the time. Bell Tavern, Memphis's downtown neighborhood bar, is not a sports bar. It's a great bar that happens to have sports on the TVs. Lots of high-def TVs. You don't want to go watch your favorite college team in some chain restaurant. You want to go to Bell Tavern where you can enjoy the game, make some friends, and have some of the best cocktails in Memphis. That's what you want.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGe, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charge Charger with your EV purchase. All 36-month leases plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41190, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Well, let's get to some NFL talk with Bo Marchant. Bo, thanks so much for joining us, and I want to start with the Steelers game last night that I know you were covering. It was a defensive matchup, to say the least, but when you watch that Pittsburgh defense, it's hard to argue that they're not one of the best defenses in the entire league. They looked unbelievable last night.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they got after Deshaun Watson last night, 11 QB hurries, 6 team sacks, 2 touchdowns via the interception of Alex Highsmith, and then the fumble recovery from T.J. Watt at the end that sealed the game. They're prolific pass rush, prolific way to get after them in the passing game. I think the running game, they were suspect. I mean, prior to going down, Nick Chubb had 64 yards rushing in the first quarter. I mean, he blew his knee out on the second play of the second quarter, so he was kind of having their way, which Nick Chubb does with almost any defense. But you talk about a defense winning a game for an offense that's kind of still in disarray. The final drive prior to the victory formation, the fans were booing Fire Canada. And when you think about the history between the Steelers and the Browns and the rivalry, there was something tarnished, I should say, in the win last night. They won the game, but they knew it was a very ugly win, and there's a problem with the offense. So it kind of remains to be seen. I'm sure they're glad to get that first win, obviously, any way you can do it. But on the backside of it, there's a lot more going on in Pittsburgh in terms of solving that problems that kind of continue to plague that offense.
What time did you get in the rack last night?
Well, Brett, I left, and I have a tradition. I always stop at the Sheet. So I got off the Ohio Turnpike, and I think I got home about 3:30, and then I ate my sub. I was pretty outside. It was such a pretty night underneath the stars, and sat at the table in the front and ate my steak sub, and then I went to bed. I took a sleeping pill because I wanted to make sure I slept. You know how your body's used to waking up, so I took a couple sleeping pills. That way I knew I would at least sleep at least 5 hours.
A little help doesn't hurt. That's why they prescribe it out there. That's why it's out there. Bo Marchant visiting with us on the NFL. Is Kenny, are they on blast? Are they on high level of concern about Kenny Pickett?
I think you have to be a little bit. I think there's just so many things going wrong with the offense. I mean, the running game is non-existent. Najee Harris.
Up front's not great.
Yeah. There's just a lot of problems. I mean, and you talk to the guys, and you got to defend each other. I mean, we asked several players last night. Did you hear the boos of Matt Canada? And they kind of deflected. No, we were focused on the play, or we didn't hear it. They hear it, but they can't call out their OC, and vice versa. When we talk to Matt Canada, I think the coordinators are on Thursday. When we talk to the coordinators on Thursday, Canada is going to blame himself and defend the player. So, I mean, that's just what you do in that profession. You're not going to call each other out publicly. But I think internally there has to be a lot of discussions in terms of, where this offense is going to go. How can you develop Kenny Pickett? And then the ground game, it's non-existent. At halftime they had 8 carries for 1 yard. That's just not Steelers football, and that's not winning football.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, on the other side, Deshaun Watson really didn't have it going. I had it with his legs, but his arm kind of left a lot to be desired. So kind of a two-part question here. How many questions are now for Deshaun Watson in that offense after being paid all that money? I mean, you got to think there are some people that are starting to have some questions about him as the starting quarterback. And then also with that injury last night, it looked really, really bad to Nick Chubb. He's going to be out for the season now. How much does that hurt this Browns team?
Well, it definitely hurts him. I mean, he's the bread and butter of that offense, and his leadership, I think, is impeccable in terms of what he brings to that team. And then Watson, listen, I was super high on Watson when we went through the quarterbacks. I think I picked Watson first or second in the AFC North. I thought he would really rebound. I gave him a pass because week 1 against the Bengals, it was rain, it was wind off the lake, so I kind of gave everybody a pass. Last night conditions were perfect, and I know the Steelers defense got after him, but just the passes were just overthrown, underthrown, and he was in duress, but nonetheless, you got to make those plays. There's quarterbacks that can do it, and I thought he was one of those guys that could. I would be concerned if I was Cleveland. At this point, it's his full season. He did play last year. He's not a rookie. I mean, when he got the deal that he got to go to Cleveland, I mean, he was going to be we interpreted him to be one of the best. I would be concerned. I really would be. I was high on Cleveland winning that game because of what they did to Cincinnati in week 1, but now we've come to learn that we've had 2 lousy weeks to Cincinnati Bengals football. So maybe the Browns didn't really beat a good football team right now. They're a good football team late in the season, but it comes to kind of seem like the Bengals aren't a good football team early in the season. Setback with Joe Burrow. So, all those things come into play. You kind of get teams hot or cold. But I think Pittsburgh's still a work in progress. They never have any luck with the Raiders. They're headed out to Vegas this weekend. And then Cleveland without Nick Chubb. I mean, Jerome Ford, 5th-round pick, 2 years in, played at Alabama and Cincinnati. Talented kid, over 100 yards rushing last night. And, they ran the ball well, but the passing game was non-existent. And that Steelers defense, via the pass, they defended it about as good as you get.
Who is your most surprising 2-0 team?
I have to say Tampa Bay.
Me too.
I think Tampa Bay week 1 going up to Minnesota. Not that I thought Minnesota was a powerhouse, but nonetheless, I thought that was a game that you should win.
Mayfield.
Yeah, we did. We wrote them off, and I wrote off the whole team. I mean, Baker Mayfield and everybody else included. But Todd Bowles is 2-0, and giving him the credit. And I think that's a little bit of from the outside looking in, they believe in what they're doing and they're having success. And I want to say, I think it might be Tampa. They have 13 rookies. I think between both sides, they have a lot of youth. So, I mean, you think about that Super Bowl run with the Dominican Sues and all these guys, these aging veterans, and now they've kind of come around and they've replenished with some talented youth guys. Do I think it's going to last? No. Do I think the Falcons are a 2-0 team? Yeah, they beat their opponents, but I think these teams will kind of come back to life as the talent. The teams get better. But the one genius thing about this, and I read this in a book that I'm reading, back to the days when the NFL started, when Burt Bell was the commissioner, he would always schedule the worst teams against the worst teams early in the season. That way the fans would be interested. And the NFL is not so much like that. But we know the way that they do the schedule that, a worst to first team, that's always a possibility. So it keeps all the parity reigns supreme, and that's why everybody feels good. If you're waking up in Atlanta right now, you feel you're on top of the world. If you're waking up in the sun of Tampa Bay, you feel you're on top of the world because your teams are 2-0.
It's good for business, and for all the critics of the NFL, who wouldn't want their company running just like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a successful motto. And listen, you guys know me. Listen, I love the NFL. I think you get 7 picks and a salary cap. That's as fair as it gets.
Yep.
There's no, there's no farm system. There's no luxury tax. This is your money.
There's a farm system, called college football.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. But you only get your 7 picks to take them. So, yeah, there is a farm system there without a doubt. But and that's what I love about the National Football League. It's you could be a small market or a big market, but in the end, everybody really has almost about as equal as an opportunity to win as you can find in any sport.
It's the only sport that Green Bay, Buffalo, and I'll even say it, and I don't say it with any animus at all, that Nashville can exist in.
Yeah, I mean, and then and how much as everyone loves those small market teams when they have success and they become dominant powers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could go through. Yeah, I mean, absent of the Chicagos and the LAs. Mm-hmm. Chicago, New York's, most of these cities, especially as I think of you think back when the NFL started in your big cities and, the world has grown. Our nation has, the places that were rural years and years and years ago are more, public now and they're filled. So, there might not be new metropolises popping up, but with that, regardless to say that, we've seen that the NFL landscape has changed where, teams you can find success in different cities with, I guess there's just a bigger monopoly, I guess, for NFL teams to find new places if they had to.
I had a smart person tell me today at lunch that Nashville was really kind of verified, was really made by the NFL. The NFL stamped them as having made it.
I can believe that. And they got their market researchers. They know, hey, this is a growing city. This is going to be the economy. They project certain things, how many people are going to come, blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, and, I guess Nashville is a perfect example. When the NFL started, would you have thought, you probably put the same thing with Green Bay and Buffalo, but nonetheless, when this thing was starting out in the National Football League, you wouldn't have thought of these type of teams or the Carolina Panthers having a team in the Carolinas. But lo and behold, and money talks. We see it in college football with the realignments. Who's to say that the teams that we're accustomed to seeing, the next decade, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these teams that were accustomed to saying, hey, the Minnesota Vikings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whatever team you want to pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars could become the Frankfurt Jaguars of Germany. That's really where we're headed.
Bo, you mentioned the Falcons a couple of minutes ago, talking about how they're now 2-0 through the young season. Has Bijan Robinson already proven his draft day doubters wrong just through 2 games?
I think so, and and they're doing I think a smart thing. Him and Tyler Algier, the rookie from last year, 1,000 yards. They're kind of they could feed him the ball more. We know that could happen, and that might happen eventually. But I think they're keeping him safe. That's a violent position, a lot of wear and tear on the body. So why don't you keep this kid fresh? There's no reason to overwork him. And I think as an organization, if that is their mindset, I think it's smart because you're 2-0, but right now you're not. You're not on the level of the Dallas, the Philadelphia, the 49ers. So there's really no reason to run this rookie into the ground, get 1,800 yards out of him. And next year, maybe when Desmond Ridder develops or you get a better quarterback, now you're going to have to start leaning on this guy and you've already kind of worn out the tread. So I think it's smart. Keep him fresh. Don't overuse him. And then when the time, if they really become a legit team, a legit, organization that can chase another, run at a Lombardi, then you can have the full use of him. But he looks phenomenal, and everything that we thought he would be, that's why he was the 8th pick of the draft.
As much as a Week 2 game can be must-win, I thought Kansas City really needed that game on the road in Jacksonville. Their only noon kickoff all year.
Wow. Yeah, well, you nailed that one, Stats. I think that game in particular, because Kelsey coming back, Chris Jones, he held out basically, prior to last week, and that's a high-powered offense with Trevor Lawrence and what they're able to do in Jacksonville. And 17-9 final. Defense played great. I don't think the offense is gelling yet. We didn't see, what we're accustomed to seeing, but you can give a little credit to Jacksonville as well. There's a lot of playmakers on that defensive side of their ball. So, but a big win. Even as good as the Chiefs are, and we know they're going to be right there in the thick of it when the season ends. You don't want to start 0-2, and they got that win. And that could be a game that comes into play for home field advantage.
Road conference win, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a big win because Jacksonville, assuming that as we think everything's going to play out, they're going to have a comfortable lead in the AFC South as we're headed down the stretch. So that's going to be a vital piece for the Chiefs to have, saying, "Hey, we got the one up on you in case we tie."
Mm-hmm. Bo, what's going on with Brett's preseason Super Bowl pick, the Chargers? I saw this stat earlier this morning. They became the first team in NFL history to score 50 points with no turnovers and start the season 0-2. What's happening over there in LA?
Well, did you? I don't know if you guys saw it. I mean, did you see the ending of the game with the play calling?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the time management by Brandon Staley was horrific, and I don't know if it's analytics or whatever they're doing. We talked about hot seat guys, and we mentioned his name. I mean, I think the seats, it has to be on fire right now in terms of them being 0-2. And the way that they're losing, I mean, he's supposed to be the defensive guru. I mean, and I know Miami's going to score points on a lot of people, but Belichick found a way to kind of slow down that Miami passing game. They ran the ball well, but nonetheless, it wasn't a shootout, and that's what we saw week one. And then last week against the Titans, who are, what do we expect out of Tennessee? Who are they? How good are they? Mm-hmm. I think where we perceive the Chargers to be amongst the top teams, you have to beat Tennessee. And they were unable to do it. And that places, I'll place all the blame, and we could call it execution, going back and watching the tape. But, I mean, this is too many times for Brandon Staley and, talking about, kind of fumbling away a win against a team that you're superior to, that you lost to, because I think Mike Vrabel was a better coach.
Yeah, you can't waste that quarterback, and it looks like it's being wasted. And he just hadn't won many big games. This week for the Dallas Cowboys, always fun whether the Cowboys are going good or they're going bad, because when they're going good, that dominates NFL stories. When they're going bad, you can pile on. That kind of dominates too. They've got to go to Arizona and get to 3-0.
Yeah, that would be a shocker. I mean, that would be a huge
12-point road
any
favorite.
Given
that
Sunday,
looks like a college football line.
Sure does.
Yeah, any given Sunday, we know how the NFL works, and everybody does survivor polls, and there's always them games where that winless Jacksonville team beats the Colts team trying to get to the playoffs.
Survivor
in week 17.
pool. I just want my Chargers to win a game.
Yeah. So listen, that day point. I mean, Micah Parsons looks like he's on another. He looks he looks like a professional playing against D2 kids. I mean, he looks that much better. I mean, that's how good he looks right now. And then you add in everybody else on the defense. They still haven't had Donovan Wilson plus. He's a great safety on the back end. They haven't had him yet. Maybe he plays this week. And I put it in the tweet when we started. I changed it from the 49ers. I'm going to give this week to Dallas. McCarthy, give him credit. So much. He always kind of gets the brunt of most of it. And when Kellerman was there, he was kind of a scapegoat. But now McCarthy's calling plays. The offense looks great. Look what they did to that Jets defense. I mean, Dak had a great day. And Brian, we talked last week. I wasn't going to give the Cowboys the nod until I saw Dak do it. But
hey, I saw your tweet, Bo. Yeah, don't you worry.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott, I mean, they tore up Sauce Gardner. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 143? Yeah. They really looked dominant. Listen, we're week 2. We got a lot of football to play out. But, I mean, right now, if we were heading into the playoffs for the NFC Championship, you're going to have to say Dallas is going to probably beat almost anybody on that NFC side going into this weekend.
I love it. I love it. Well, Bo, I asked you last week, we talked about the Seattle Seahawks and kind of a disappointing performance for them in week 1, but then they come out this week on the road in Detroit and look much better. So my question to you is, which is the more real Seahawks, the team we saw in week 1 that couldn't get anything done, or this team that we saw in week 2 that gets a road victory in overtime in Detroit?
I'm going to cheat with the answer, but I'm going to say somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're as bad as they were week 1, and I don't know if they're on the caliber. Geno Smith, I thought he played a great game. Yeah. There's a couple of throws he made during that game. I thought he played brilliantly. And, and Pete Carroll's, he's one of them old school guys. He's a veteran coach, and he got those guys ready to play Seahawks football. And on the flip side, you look at the Lions, you talk about dropping an A, you go to Kansas City, you beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, you're coming back against a Seahawks team that got routed at home against the Rams. And that's where that veteran leadership, that's where getting your guys in that mindset that every week you got to take the team's best punch. They're coming at you. And I'm sure, and it's hard, and that's where the great teams can overcome it, and that's where the young teams trying to become great, they have to overachieve that mistake of, hey, we beat the Chiefs. We got this lousy Seahawks team coming in our house. We're gonna romp this team. But as we saw, that wasn't the case. They still were in it, but the Dan Campbell and company, they're looking at that saying, wow, we worked so hard to beat the Chiefs to get to 1-0, and then we kind of let this one pass. On the flip side, Pete Carroll, probably a playoff team if things work the right way. If Geno Smith continues to play at that level, and they should be right there.
I want to go back to the Jets for a second. I know you talked about what the Cowboys did to that defense, but after that game on Sunday, you saw a lot of interesting things from some of these Jets players. Sauce Gardner got into it with fans on Twitter and trying to defend himself in his game on Sunday, and then went to the coaching staff, I think yesterday, and asked them to let him roam around with his star receivers on the opposite side of the ball. You saw Breece Hall tweet out and then delete 4 football emojis that a lot of people think were in reference to his only 4 carries. Yeah, are we starting to see some issues in New York with the Jets?
I think the issue is this team with Aaron Rodgers was thinking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and there's a reason why they got Aaron Rodgers, because they know Zach Wilson is not the answer.
And he had shut it down. He was mentally prepared to stand and watch.
And he was, to think that, people, I laugh when you hear some of the commentary or just read certain things where, Zach Wilson has listened. He didn't learn that much spending 2 months with Aaron Rodgers in the summertime. He didn't become a bust, and now he's this protege of, knowledge and skill set. No, that's not the case. He's still the same Zach Wilson as a player. Listen, and it's not that the kid wants to win. We're not saying that, but listen, he's just not at that level. This team, and Robert Saleh is going to lose this team. The Jets aren't that team, the defense, everybody around it, they were thinking Super Bowl. I even think Dalvin Cook looks a little disenchanted right now. He didn't go to New York to play with Zach Wilson. No. He was going to New York to play with Aaron Rodgers and try to win a Lombardi trophy. If they don't go out and make a move, and I don't know what moves out there available, but, things can come to fruition that we'll never know about, and when it happens, we're like, wow, we didn't see that coming. But they need to make and address the quarterback position. If they don't, they're gonna run in the same thing they did last year. The team will stop believing, and they might even be on the cuffs now because the hype of Monday night against the Bills, they got past that. They were able to, beat the. We know Allen turned the ball over so many times. He kind of gifted that. Granted, the Jets made the plays, but at the end of the day, now that excitement is kind of worn off. You go to Dallas, you really get embarrassed. Your defense gets warped over. Your offense can't put any points on the board. You have no running game. You have 2 fabulous running backs. You have a quarterback and you take away the long pass to Garrett Wilson, and he has maybe 100 yards on 12 attempts. That's not a big time passer. So they got to address the passing game. And I'm telling you, Brian, if they don't, they're going to lose the team. It kind of reminds me of Mike Penton when he was the coach of the Browns and he was forced to put Johnny Manziel in. That team was a good team, and they were playing very good football. But once they did that, and Haslam made the move to say, "Hey, we want this rookie in there," he kind of lost that. And you saw the team stayed after that. Because, listen, these guys are working hard. They're not going in there and doing what they do to lose. They want to win, and they want to protect what they have. And, the better they are, the more money they make, the more endorsements they get. All those things all come to fruition. If you're a lousy New York Jets team, especially in that market, they're not doing anybody any favors. I mean, they did the right thing getting Rodgers, but they have to go back to the well and try to do anything. Even a Taylor Heineke, Joshua Dahl. I mean, if they got anybody, it's going to be an upgrade over Zach Wilson.
Hall of Fame today announced the narrowing down of the ballot, and it will have one more cut. Rapid fire, hurry up, no huddle. Give me in or out. Julius Peppers.
In.
Antonio Gates.
In.
Brandon Marshall.
In.
Jordy Nelson.
No.
Jamal Charles.
No.
TJ Lang.
No.
Josh Sitton.
No.
Max Unger.
Maybe. I have to throw maybe in. Out.
Haloti Ngata.
In.
I say in as well. From last year back again this year, the class of it consists of Devin Hester.
You know me. You guys, when we talked about that, I'm definitely into Devin Hester.
Torrey Holt.
Yes.
Andre Johnson.
No.
Reggie Wayne.
Oh, Andre Johnson. I thought you meant Andre Rison. Yes, Andre Johnson.
No,
yes, Andre Johnson. Yes.
Move.
I'm sorry.
Andre Johnson.
I'm sorry.
Reggie Wayne in. Willie Anderson.
No.
Jared Allen.
Yes.
Dwight Freeney.
Yes.
Patrick Willis.
Yes.
Darren Woodson.
No.
I agree on Darren Woodson. Bryant, the Cowboy fan,
I want him in.
in.
Those are, but you listen, if you're going to, all those guys you mentioned, and I could have said yes or probably no to every, vice versa. That's the exact class that we kind of had go in this year.
Really did.
True,
it was rather anonymous for going in, football's holy grail into the pantheon.
And when I looked at that list, because I'm a big Gary Clark guy, growing up watching Washington, and I'm looking at the receivers in that list, and I'm thinking like I know guys get their due during their, how the process works. You get so many votes and so many years to be in certain levels of but I'm looking like all these guys are, in the last 5-10 years, and they're good receivers. Gary Clark was putting those numbers up in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we know it was still a ground and pound game.
With
it was
John
emerging.
Riggins handling the ball most of the game.
Yeah, John Riggins and George Rogers and those big. We can talk about it all day. Yeah, Gerald Riggs. It's a different game, and the historian part of me thinks. I mean, even the contributors to think that you see some of the names, and not to deter some of the guys that have got in, but I mean to think that in my mind, Brett Musburger isn't one of these. Hasn't won the award for the contribution type guys that have helped. I mean, CBS Sports, Brett. I mean,
the NFL Today.
Yeah, NFL Today.
Here's one more real quick. Sean Alexander, in or out?
In.
I say in too.
I like it.
I say in too.
Well, you know what? I mean, there was a point where he was the best running back in the league for probably 3 or 4 years.
So MVP once or twice.
I don't know about that, but I always look if I thought on a Sunday, I thought you were the best guy at your position. And Terrell Davis, a short career, but there was a point when at the peak of the Broncos, Terrell Davis was the best guy at that position.
Try
I think if you can
the
kind of carry that
NFL
title.
story without Sean Alexander.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Sean and big. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a machine. I mean, he was just he was ferocious.
Great
I mean,
man. A good
he was fabulous. He was a Bama guy, wasn't he?
He
come
sure
from
was.
Bama?
From there in the northern Kentucky suburb south of Cincinnati and went to Alabama. Yeah.
2005 MVP.
MVP just one time. Bo Marchant, great stuff.
Thanks, Bo.
Hey, you guys are the best. Have a great week, gentlemen.
Get some sleep and enjoy the week. Bo Marchant with us talking NFL. And every day this hour brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn. Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville. Since 1961, Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, Laura, they own the place. Known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team in any season. work boots, western wear, soft toe, safety toe, rubber boots, boots for every occasion at Hewlett Dunn, and so much more. From head to toe, they've got you covered with every brand imaginable. Anderson Bean, Ariat, Dan Post, whether for men or women, they've got the clothing, the jeans, the pants, the shirts, the shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find.
Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapbacks and cool hats that you can think of for the Tigers, State, UT, Ole Miss, and the Razorbacks. And for travel, their bag selection is top notch. HewlettandDunn.com, but also please visit and say hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Well, let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Womble, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Consult your healthcare provider before use.
Introducing Vinia, a breakthrough superfood with a full matrix of polyphenols from the red grape. Enjoy the health benefits of a bottle of red wine minus the alcohol, sugar, and calories.
Vinia gives me the motivation and the energy to knock things off my bucket list. Other supplements I've taken in the past were okay, but I never really got the that alertness. But being able to have something like Vinia, where I can take and I get that sustained energy, it's the thing I've been looking for. Vinia is a game changer.
In a clinical trial, Vinia significantly increased the dilation of arteries. This dilation increases your blood flow and the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to your brain, heart, and other tissues, supporting heart health and improving your physical energy and mental alertness. Use code RADIO to get 10% off your first order at ordervinia.com. That's ordervinia.com. Ordervinia.com. Vinia. Better blood flow, better life.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetceteraSouthLLC.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
My friends at Miramichi are always innovative. They've got a new thing going I think you're going to like. They have a staggered rate pertaining to what time of day it is. You can get a better price if you go in the later afternoon than you will in the morning or in the afternoon. From noon to 3, there is a $10 savings. There's about a $13 savings from 3 until close. You can't beat all of the innovations or the beauty at Miramichi. And folks are flocking. No longer can you get a membership. There's a waiting list, but that's how popular Miramichi has become. And why wouldn't it? You've got different levels of competition. You have 5 different tee boxes you can choose from ultra hard to ultra fun. The thing that's a constant is the beauty. The back 9 is like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream, and there's a waterfall you'll love. Everything about Miramichi is cool. Go check it out in Woodstock, 12 minutes north of downtown. It's Miramichi.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
So how you like me now? How you like me now? How you like me now? How you like me now?
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show and a lot to get to here. Mainly baseball. We haven't talked a ton of baseball yesterday or today, but we're getting down the home stretch. It's weird watching some of these games. I was kind of bouncing back and forth from a lot of them last night, especially when we only got down to one NFL game on television. But it's weird, to flip these games on and hear them say, only 13 games after tonight, only 14 games after tonight.
When you look at the game notes and see game 141 of 162,
it's crazy.
We're down to it.
We sure are. But, there's still some really fun races to keep an eye on. But before we get to that, we mentioned it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but Adam Wainwright last night getting number 200, his 200th win is unbelievable. I know that was a lot of the conversation from fans and internally. The front office has been pretty upfront about the fact that Adam Wainwright really wanted to come back and try to get to that 200th win. And at the beginning of the season, it's been a very rough season for Adam Wainwright. And earlier in the season, there was a lot of questions of, will he be able to get that 200th win? So it was really cool seeing him be able to do that last night at home in front of a big crowd.
His last 2 outings probably been his best. That will be it. They will shut him down. He won't go to the mound again. And Adam Wainwright Day will be October 1st, Sunday, October 1st. And he's earned he's earned off the field in the community in St. Louis the adoration that he gets tomorrow at 3:30. We're going to visit with Tom Ackerman from KMOX in St. Louis about the Memphis Tigers going to St. Louis to play the Missouri Tigers and kind of that angle of that game and what, if any, buzz around St. Louis it is around that game. And, of course, we're going to get to Cardinal talk, and it'll largely be centered on number 50, legendary Cardinal. I heard Dave and Tim Doolin today talking Hall of Fame. We're just talking NFL Hall of Fame. Is he in Cooperstown? I can make the case for both. That he's in, and I can make the case of no. We know there's not ever going to be another 300 win pitcher. That's no longer the standard. That and the strikeouts, 3,000 strikeouts, you were in, except if you got embroiled in PED.
Sure.
And that's never been around him, so no problem there. 200 I think is the new standard, and he's there. I don't know if it's first ballot in Cooperstown. It could be a long wait, but I know it'll be red jacket. Cardinals Hall of Fame as soon as he's eligible. I don't know the eligibility standards. If he's eligible next summer, they should do it.
Yeah, I think he'll be in. When you look, it's crazy. I know we've talked about, ever since kind of building up to will he get to 200 and talking about he would only be the third Cardinal to ever get 200 wins. But to see that graphic on Bally Sports last night of him just with 2 other pitchers.
It's been a good 2 weeks for old Jesse Haynes, hasn't it?
It really has. A lot of people talking about Jesse Haynes that maybe wouldn't have been talking about him 6 months ago.
Haynes trending? Let me look. Since we're doing what's trending,
probably is. I'm sure he is. But when you look at that, to be only the third pitcher for an organization to get to 200 wins, getting to that mark of 200 wins, and this longevity of what he's meant to this Cardinals franchise, like you said, both on the field and off the field, I think he'll get in. Now, will it take a couple years? Maybe, but I do think he's a Hall of Fame guy.
And that curveball to strike out Beltran in the 06 NLCS. I mean, good morning, good afternoon, good night. It just froze him, broke the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals go on and win it that year against the Tigers, but he was coming out of the bullpen then. But as a starter, as any role he played for the Cardinals, legendary Cardinal.
Absolutely.
Above Chris Carpenter.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, talk about that longevity and really what he's meant. Like I said, both on and off the diamond, he's been massive.
Above Bob Forrest, not just in wins,
sure,
but in kind of Cardinal lore.
Yes.
Gibson's in a league of his own.
Absolutely.
Probably Dizzy Dean next in all-time Cardinal history and, again, lore. Jesse Haynes, I didn't know much about him until about 2 weeks ago.
Well,
now I'm learning so much more.
Yeah, now we know a lot about Jesse Haynes, but I'm sure that will be forgotten pretty soon, unfortunately, for Jesse. But no, it really was cool to see after kind of this season that has been a lot of bad, a lot of downs for the Cardinals. It is cool to be able to kind of see some positivity around that program.
And it's not a lot, but it's been the most in a year that didn't provide many memories at baseball heaven. That's been the best one.
Yeah, it really has. But looking at some of these wild card races and division races, we've had a couple of teams clinch their postseason berth. Baltimore did it last night with a win over the Houston Astros.
Do you watch many of their games?
Baltimore? Mm-hmm. I've definitely watched more this year than I have the past couple years.
So good.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
I knew him from college baseball and knew of his exploits in college at LSU, and then with the Orioles. And of course, he was going to be the next Jim Palmer. And be careful with all that. He wasn't, but good player. He's great on those broadcasts.
I think he's really good, and I mean it's kind of hard to not be good when you have so much talent and young talent to be excited about on the.
And be careful on the Orioles broadcast.
Field.
You might say the wrong thing.
Yeah, that is very true. But no, they've been a lot of fun to watch, and I've certainly watched more. They've now won 3 in a row. They're in a series right now with Houston. But you talk about just sticking the AL before we go over to the NL. Sticking in the AL. I mean, last night was an interesting night because you had Houston lose late, and then you had Boston come back and beat the Texas Rangers in a game that up until about the 8th inning, it looked like the Rangers were going to walk away with. They were getting guys on base. They were really dominating from the mound. And Boston has a massive, I think 8th inning it was, maybe 7th inning, where they scored 4 runs and took a lead. Seattle played late last night against Oakland.
Had to win, and they did.
Had to win. And this is really, I mean, when you look at those schedules,
you got to feast on Oakland.
You've got to, and little personal here. I might have made a couple of bets on the Mariners last night.
It's legal,
It sure is. I may or may not have.
We're not hiding in the shadows any longer.
Before the game started, when the -1.5 was -110, I might have made a bet -2 runs at plus money, and then after the first inning, when -1.5 was also plus money, I might have doubled down on the -1.5. That's tomato. That's tomato. But Seattle has to win these games against Oakland. And they did, so it's going to be really compelling because now when you look at the AL wildcard teams, Tampa Bay is right there in the wild card. Toronto is right there. And then you have Seattle and Texas with identical records right now trying to hold on to that 3rd spot. And so it's really going to come down to the wire. I think Texas goes up to Seattle in a couple of weeks for their final series against the Mariners. So, and then Houston also, I think, plays both of these teams.
Not a lot of head-to-head.
No, not a ton at all. And so I don't think Texas and Houston play each other the rest of the year. I know Seattle gets both Houston and Texas. I think they get both of them at home, so a little favorable for Seattle.
Who are we for? What's the 6 teams you would like to see come postseason in the AL?
I would love to see Baltimore, Houston, I guess Minnesota.
2 of those 3 are there.
Uh-huh.
I'm fine with Tampa Bay.
Tampa, and then Seattle, Texas. I would love to see all 3 of those teams from the AL West make it.
So we don't want Toronto.
I don't know.
We're going to be ugly Toronto. Americans toward Toronto.
I hate Toronto. Not the city. I hate the Blue Jays. Can't stand them.
I think about my game day buddies last year in 22 in St. Louis that had made the trip from Vancouver.
Wow.
And worked for the Canucks. Remember?
Yeah,
and just
you're right.
Nice as they can be. Of course, it's kind of my go-to pitch at every ballpark. Whatever group of fans, whether it's Orioles, this year it was Astros, whether it was Blue Jays. I hope to see you back here in October.
That's right.
It's kind of like telling Skip Schumacher he's going to be a big league.
Oh yeah.
Hope to see you back.
It'll
here in
happen
October.
in one of these times, but
they were such great guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I could feel the soulmate, symmetry with them. To road trip bucket list to St. Louis from Vancouver.
That's insane.
Man,
good for them. I'm sure they're great.
Grousing driving up 55.
Oh yeah,
they get there from Vancouver.
I'm sure they're great. I hate their team. I hate the Toronto
I don't want
Blue Jays. No, I don't.
Good
either.
luck to those guys.
But over in the NL,
I fibbed.
Yeah, really. I think it's also interesting in the NL because you've got two teams that have already clinched the division in the Braves and the Dodgers. Then you've got Milwaukee right there with the Cubs still kind of sneaking up behind them. And then those three current.
I'm not anti-Cub. I'm not. If it falls and they're in, it will be fun.
I don't think I am
either. If it falls and they're out, I will chuckle about it. I'm sorry, Cub fans. I know you're enjoying the Cardinal year.
Yeah, I don't think I really like Dansby Swanson. I hate that he's a Cub, but I like Dansby Swanson, so I think I can get behind him if they were to make the wild card. But I mean, you look right behind them.
I don't have any impact on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but I mean, you look right behind this Cubs team, and you've got Cincinnati right there, who is 6-4 in their last 10 games, and just won their last game. Miami's only a half game back, and San Francisco, which has been surprising me all year, because if you sit down and watch a San Francisco Giants game, you would not think this team would be in contention for the wild card.
Well, in
they're only 2 games back.
74, you shouldn't be.
That's very true. That's a very good point. But I think we've talked a lot about this AL wild card because it's been so back and forth, and a team will jump up into the wild card and then jump down and jump back. But this NL wild card race is just as exciting.
And Brian, I wasn't close on you look at those game notes. Game 150 of 162. I mean, we have two.
We're there.
We're there. 2 weeks left, and then a great time of year. We were talking during the break, and I think a lot of people get tuned in to this time of year, and for us baseball first fans, and that's what we are.
Absolutely.
I'm proudly that. I love the days when you get kind of 4 games, that noonish, 1-ish to 3-ish to 7-ish to 9-ish. That day and the ceremonial red, white, and blue bunting out. I'm ready for that. The Phillies are almost in the same spot they were in last year.
They really
are. It was really our fault. We put the Cardinals in this schneid.
We did.
We crowned. We spiked the ball, planted the flag, and
on a 2-0 lead, Brad. I mean, what were we thinking? 2 runs in a playoff game.
It was fandom.
In like the 6th inning, it wasn't even like we were coming down 9th inning. We just got to get 3 more outs. It was like the 5th or 6th inning.
And then abject horror, stunned at the outcome, and then blink of an eye, the season over.
And then the next day, just a complete blowout. I mean, wasn't even a close game in that second game.
John Mozeliak era over.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. But
and I blinked and missed the Ollie Marmol era.
Well, Brett, I would give anything to have what happened last year happen again this year, because that would at least mean the Cardinals are in the playoffs.
But they're not.
They're not. They're far from it.
Close. This week's a really busy week for me, and tomorrow I'm doing radio shows practically from 6:30 in the
morning. Doing the rounds, as they would say.
To 6:30 tomorrow night. Even doing one right after we get off tomorrow night. And I'm nervous, apprehensive about the game going into the belly of the beast. So tonight, I need that quiet night to kind of get away from it all, kind of get off the grid a little bit. So I'm going to go to AutoZone Park for the Redbirds game.
Yikes. Oh, low blow, Brett. Low blow.
Last game of the year.
I mean, I'll be honest. I love the Redbirds.
They're playing way too deep into September.
So I have their notifications turned on Twitter. I get surprised daily when I see them.
You're still playing.
When I see them tweet out their lineup for the night, I'm going, wow, okay.
They've got to trim 25 games.
And
all
also,
of September.
I mean, the fact, I just saw this morning that they promoted a single-A pitcher all the way up to Memphis just to get more playing time. I mean, you're playing too long at that point.
Yeah.
You're playing way too long at that point. But hey, I'm sure you'll have a good time
Game
nonetheless.
21 tonight of the year. I'm 10-10.
All right.
Win tonight, I go have a winning record in 2023.
One way or the other. It'll either be a winning record or a losing record this year,
That
I guess.
was a cheap shot.
It was a cheap shot, but I guess we'll take it. Maybe not just for the Redbirds, but for all of minor league baseball. You're playing way too long. Well, let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show, Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
7.
12. What are we playing?
Central Barbecue has 7 different kinds of sandwiches.
Okay, does that seem like a lot?
Are you kidding? 7 may be the most perfect amount of sandwiches. See, they got the pulled pork. You can get chopped on request. Then trim sliced beef brisket sandwich. There's 2 right there.
I'm not sure exactly.
Look, you've also got the pulled chicken, the smoked turkey, the marinated portobello mushroom sandwich.
That seems like plenty.
You would think, but then you also got the smoked sausage and the barbecue bologna sandwich.
You're right. 7 may be the perfect amount of sandwiches.
The people at Central Barbecue are genius.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all of the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive and well. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time. Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. the double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today, I guess I should say what I was reminded of today, that Curtis Givens III, a point guard, a 4-star point guard, I should say, will have an official visit at Memphis this weekend, starting on Friday and going through the weekend. If Curtis Givens sounds familiar to you, you know him because he's from Memphis. He played at MUS to start his high school career, but he's now at Montverde Academy, the prestigious basketball school, Montverde Academy, to finish off his high school career. But it looks like a lot of people think this is going to come down between LSU and Memphis. I think Memphis has a great shot in landing the four-star point guard, but I think this official visit will do a lot to that. We know how great Penny is at recruiting, especially when he gets an official visit, and especially when it's a local kid and he has those local ties with him. So very excited to get Curtis Givens on campus this weekend.
Still a lot of home field advantage for Coach Hardaway there. What I learned, 200 wins for Adam Wainwright. First win came May 9th, 2006 versus Colorado at New Busch Stadium. 100th came March 31st, 2014 at Cincinnati. It's probably not Cooperstown first ballot, but it's definitely Red Jacket Cardinals Hall of Fame, no doubt. October 1st will be his retirement ceremony at Busch Stadium. Number 1, Bob Gibson. 2, Jesse Haynes. 3, Adam Wainwright. Again, good 2 weeks for old Jesse Haynes.
Sure has been a good 2 weeks. The 2 weeks he'll never forget.
He's kind of forgotten everything.
Yes. What I could have done without, I saw this morning, Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods have opened a sports bar in New York City, which it's going to be a massive sports bar. I think it opens this weekend or in a week. It's going to have bowling lanes. It's also going to have swing simulators that you can go like we have at Let It Fly here locally. The only gripe I have is, hey, JT, why don't we build some restaurants? Why don't you put your name on some restaurants here in Memphis in this area?
Tiger Woods.
With Tiger Woods would be great. I don't know if we could get that, but hey, you could do something here in Memphis with a athlete, a celebrity, and put a great restaurant here. Hate that he's doing it in New York City.
I could have done without the Monday Night Football doubleheader. I know distribution, I know inventory, but let's keep it to one game and make it all on ABC. Make it special, like in the day. Make it big. Not just more games. And if you're going to do it, go full 6 o'clock, 9, 9:15, 9:30. But I must sleep at some point. Football, it's not only so much bigger now, NFL and college, than, say, 40 years ago. It's bigger now than 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love your idea about the let's play a doubleheader. If we're going to do 2 games,
let's do it.
Let's double it up. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to Houston. O's at Stroh's. Kyle Gibson 14-9 for Baltimore versus Houston's Hunter Brown 11-11. If you haven't heard those names, you will in October.
Yo, absolutely. I think I'm going to beam down to Arlington, Texas tonight for Red Sox and Rangers. This game was really fun. I mentioned it earlier. It looked like the Rangers were going to run away with this game, and then it got a little dicey at the end. Boston scored 4 runs late in the game. It was either the 7th or 8th. I can't remember now which one it was, but they score 4 runs. They go up, and the Rangers really couldn't bounce back, but these are games that the Rangers need to win. When you're talking about, I think they said after their broadcast, or during their broadcast, 14 games after tonight for the Rangers. These are games they need to win, so I think that'll be a really fun one down in Texas tonight.
We'll watch Reds and Twinks. Nothing says September baseball. That's like right. Cincinnati and Minnesota. Angels at Rays. Good luck getting over the Goofy Bridge. The Cubs need to win. The Marlins home versus the Mets. Giants at Arizona. Lots of intrigue in baseball, and I am going to AutoZone Park for the final time in 2023 tonight.
Yeah, it should be a really fun night of baseball. John Harden said it earlier today off air to me that, with football going on, he's spending a lot of time watching these footballs, so he uses Tuesday and Wednesday as kind of his days to get back into baseball, which I love. So a perfect night if you're a baseball fan to watch some baseball. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll do it again tomorrow.
We interrupt this